corner.
Oh, cool. We can do that over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was super choppy. That's great.
What up, what up, what up? A2HH live here in the building. Mike D, Coop. What's good, Coop? How you doing this
What's
week,
good?
bro?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man. We were giving our birthday shout outs
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah. I'm about to say, you want to go first or I'll go first?
Well, yeah, happy birthday to my sister Olivia. I was an only child for 12 years, so my only sibling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, shout out to Olivia. Enjoy your birthday. I know you got some birthday shout outs too. We're gonna talk some real hip hop
Yeah,
today
yeah. It's
too.
gonna be a great day. My cousin Alex, who is like my little sister, happy birthday to her up in Charlotte. Cuz still on the west side. She probably kicking in on the west side right now. Oh shoot! Oh snap!
You gotta turn your volume down.
I
It's
got
all good. Live
Um,
television.
and shout out to my cuz M6, who's like my big brother. I talk about Six on here a whole lot. You know, most of what I know about hip hop, I learned from him and from his older brother Vici. They were born 5 days, 4 years apart. So, you know, and they're 8 and 4 years older than me. So most of what I know about hip hop, like I was talking about in the Voyage ATL article, is really like a product of them. So it's like I can look back now at doing this. It's kind of like I mention him and reference him so much because this is kind of like an extension of what we built together with Battlefield. And just shout out to him and happy birthday to him. You know, this is like me doing this is kind of like the next phase of something that we built and that we talked about when we was on West Boulevard when I was like maybe 16 and he was 20.
That's what's up,
So
man.
now-
It's crazy to see stuff come to
Yeah. And
fruition.
this is just like another phase for me because like my goal, like really what I want is to be able to put him in a studio full time again. You know what I'm saying? And that be his profession, like run the studio for Battlefield. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Let's make that shit happen.
Yeah. We're gonna make it happen.
We're gonna talk a lot of hip hop today, man. I am, you know, two of my favorite MCs.
Turn the volume.
Two of my favorite MCs are getting, I feel like, some level of disrespect out here.
Two?
Yeah, Ice Cube and Nas.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah. Right.
So I can't wait to talk about that because we were talking about storytelling MCs, and we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to all of that. But off top, I know we usually cover some basketball real quick. You shared a meme with me that was comparing the stats of Kevin Durant and LeBron James in the championship year for Miami, where they beat, you know, the Thunder. That was what, 2011, 2012 season.
That's correct.
What did you find from that graphic that you sent me? Because I know people look at you as the Kevin Durant caper.
Right. And well, I wanted to discuss some of the caper because this is the season before Durant's MVP season. And what people forget is that season that, well, Kevin Durant averaged more points. He averaged more rebounds. He averaged more blocks. Shot better from 3-point. Definitely shot better from the free throw line. He only had one all-star teammate as opposed to two all-star teammates. And I definitely wouldn't put Russell Westbrook in Dwayne Wade's category around that time.
Around that time, yeah. I mean, Wade's the better player between the two. I mean, Harden is an all-star caliber player.
But not then. Conference, listen to this. Conference win percentage, 57.8 for Durant, which means in the tougher conference, they won 58% of their games. Miami in the weaker Eastern Conference won 42% of their games. Now, you tell me who the MVP is. Because Oklahoma City actually had the better record, too. So he scored more points, had more rebounds, team had the better record, played a tougher conference, had a higher winning percentage in the tougher conference. And you sure LeBron MVP?
Why do you think LeBron won the MVP that year? He did win that year, right?
Because he's LeBron.
I think this is the thing about LeBron.
Because LeBron's had better seasons than this season.
A lot of people feel like LeBron is a stat stuffer to some degree, but I think there's a lot of things that LeBron does that doesn't get calculated, that, you know, it's intangible stuff. Whereas KD, he has some intangibles, but most of the stuff you see from KD is on the stat sheet. Like he's an analytical dream on all levels. Both of them are.
I get what you're saying to a degree because it's like even in the finals when people talk about that season for LeBron, well, they talk about like his defense too. Well, it's like, yeah, but Kevin Durant bust that ass for 30 in the finals, so it's like your defense like on him ain't like that. So like, are you sure? You feel what I'm saying? Because like Durant's numbers don't change when he plays against LeBron, and so if he had the better numbers during the regular season when they played head to head, it's not like Durant's numbers went down. No, he shot 50% from the field like he usually does. Shot about 85 to 90% from the line like he usually does. He averaged about 30 like like he usually does. About 7-8 rebounds like he usually does.
What's his career high?
Who, Durant?
Mm-hmm.
He's not like, I think maybe 55, 56, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. I think his level of consistency is incredible. But he's never going to, I mean, he stays in that box.
Because he's very much Larry Bird in that regard.
Yeah.
Like Bird didn't need to go get 60 to win. He could go get 60, but he didn't need to. That wasn't Bird's idea of playing basketball.
KD's about efficiency.
Kind of like Bird was. That's what I'm saying. Bird was the only player like that where it's like, no, he'd take 14 shots and had 30 points.
But Bird was a little scrappy in a sense where that was kind of, you have
Bird's
those
a more
moments.
intelligent basketball player, but very few people on the court have been smarter than Larry Bird on the court.
So what are you saying? You saying that you would pick KD over LeBron in a vacuum? Since we're doing this comparison,
not in a vacuum. That's not fair to LeBron. People think, first of all, Steph's not in this conversation about these things that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
But when I talk about his top 10 status all time, well, if LeBron is who he is, and this guy been going toe-to-toe and neck with this guy since 2011, 2012, and actually people forget he was the runner-up to LeBron the season before that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's a very special talent.
So it's like, well, he done been runner-up to LeBron for about 3 MVP awards, I think, and he was runner-up one other time. He's got one. The year Steph won is actually the year he got hurt with the Jones foot thing, if memory serves. So it's like, he should probably have another MVP or two, and this is probably one that he probably should have got.
So why do you think that, for most people, the gap is so wide? Like you said, LeBron's like 1 or 2 all time.
Yeah, and then people be like, KD's not top 10. It's like, well, who else have you seen cancel LeBron out?
Why do you think that gap exists in that way?
I mean, once again, some of it is the media. Mm-hmm. Some of that media stuff with KD is self-inflicted, by the way. Yeah. But still, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think a lot of it just has to do with even LeBron, it's easier to even look up to LeBron's story and how LeBron brought the homies along and got everybody business degrees. And LeBron's
more marketable. I mean, he gets in front of the camera. He says all the right things. KD doesn't play that game. I don't want to say play that game, but you know what I mean?
Well, I keep on bringing this up. It's very much a Magic Bird conversation. Because much like Magic and Bird, people forget, no. Magic and Bird only played in the finals 3 times against each other. Guess who else has played in the finals 3 times against each other?
Yeah, those guys.
Hold on. Guess who's more marketable, Magic or Bird?
Magic.
Okay, so when we have Magic all time, 3, 4, 5, and we have Larry Bird where? About 7, 8, 9. You want to know why? Because it's close and it's comparable. Now, why the hell is LeBron number 1 or 2? And people be saying KD not top 10 because the closest comparison that I don't care, but that's
why. But
right, but this is before Golden State.
Yeah,
right.
But I'm saying as far as him winning a championship, it took him to go to a team that was already 73-9 without him to win that. I mean, that's the way people would view it.
I mean, how about this? Nobody knocks Kevin Garnett's championship for going and playing with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. You know what I mean? It's like we kind of pick and choose.
Yeah.
Who we feel that way about. There are people who have gone to other teams and gotten rings, and we really haven't knocked them for it in the history of the game for them going to do it. Is Alonzo Mourning any less of a great center because he was Shaq's backup on the 2016?
But these people did that at the latter of their career where could argue that KD was in the prime.
But was he not already an all-star and Hall of Fame player?
Yeah, definitely.
And so KD was already an all-star and Hall of Fame player before he ever stepped foot in the Golden State because he was the only one that was comparable to LeBron.
How do you think that Golden State season would have went if LeBron would have been playing on that Golden State team?
How about this? Here's what you need to understand. Think about what LeBron's career looks like if KD is not who KD is. That's the part people keep forgetting. It's no. Like he kept LeBron from having more rings than Mike.
That's true.
And Kobe. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Because they would have beaten Golden State without
You see what
KD.
He just did as an elder statesman to them, right?
Yeah.
Curry's still in his prime, right?
No, I don't think so. But
you don't think Curry's in his prime? Curry just averaged 30 points a game, Mike.
I think that, there's a lot less defense in the game now. I think, all right, this is what I'll say. I don't think Curry is past his prime
he's
per
at the
se.
end of his prime.
But, he's
all of them are.
He's seen better days. Like,
KD, LeBron, Steph, all those guys are at the end of their prime, but
Yeah.
still much in their prime. They still bust your ass and win a series.
Well, people in the chat are just talking about this Cube and Biggie thing, so I guess we should just get into it because I think this is going to take a minute.
Yeah, we can go and slide. But all I'm saying is KD is top 10, and it's very much a Magic Bird thing. People need to start looking at KD and LeBron like Magic and Bird. And like in terms of styles of play, like one guy has that all-encompassing full court game, great smile, marketable, more championships.
Yeah.
Other guys more of an efficient scorer, a little bit more surly, a little less marketable, more of a gym rat than the other guy. Like the other guy like to go out and kick it a little bit. The other guy's going to be in the gym. Not saying LeBron ain't in the gym, but, you know.
I think if KD would have won his championships in the manner that Giannis or you know, Denver just did, that people probably would.
See,
I think him winning his championships with that Golden State team that won without him
but this is what
kind of makes him look like a tag-along.
See, but this is what I mean when we pick and choose our spot. Kawhi Leonard was the 4th best player on his first championship team. He just happened to win MVP, and people don't take that championship away from him. He was really a role player on that team. He wasn't a star. He averaged 15 points a game, Mike.
I think that Toronto championship took him to that next level.
But that's what I'm saying. But when people talk about him, they talk about him like it's like he got 2 rings. It's like, yeah, but he only got 1 as the man. And this is what I mean about how stuff matters. Do you think that Toronto beats Golden State if Curry is hurt, but KD is healthy?
Oh, yeah. Golden State wins that. Yeah. Yeah. No, we know who KD is.
Do you think – look, and this is what I mean. It took Chris Paul and Devin Booker's hamstrings for Giannis to get a ring. No, that's not the same thing to me. It took 2 dudes who are under 6'5" getting hurt for Giannis to get a ring, and y'all gonna hold that ring high? It's like, no, beating LeBron, beating prime LeBron, going toe-to-toe with prime LeBron, that's better than Jokic ring. That's better than Giannis ring. And I don't care who you put around him if LeBron is who we say he is.
LeBron's something different.
So if LeBron's something different and he got 2 rings, and them 2 rings, he beat who? I don't give a shit who's around, because if LeBron is who you say he is, if he's close to Mike,
I'm going to tell you, man.
I rest my case.
Before we go on, though, I'm going to tell you, people put an asterisk on, obviously, people are putting an asterisk on the Golden State thing. And I think that
Hakeem's ring is a hard ring. There are no all-stars on Hakeem's ring.
Yeah.
Dirk's ring's a hard ring. Don't give me that Giannis and Jokic shit.
You know what? I think that people underrate that Dallas team. That Dallas team was stacked.
Still ain't no damn all-stars. No, they had a bunch of 15 to 18-point guys that could play defense.
And they had Jason Kidd out there.
Jason Kidd's the X factor of that, because people forget. Well,
yeah.
We can take Dallas off. Jason Kidd's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Exactly. And he's one of those guys.
Past his prime, Jason Kidd is still a top 10 point guard.
Yeah, because like his brain, the way he was operating, I seen this man go out there, and you know the New York Knicks that had J.R. Smith and all those guys who couldn't get it together. I think historically, at least in my lifetime, the New York Knicks have the lowest basketball IQ of any team that I can think of off the top of my head.
Way to help our New York following.
I love New York. Well, y'all know it's true.
Yeah, team
because
sucks.
that Reggie Miller thing doesn't happen with a team that has some level of a basketball IQ. But anyway, I saw Jason Kidd go out there, and he had that team playing to a point where I'd never seen that team play like – I'd never seen people like J.R. Smith play that efficiently, and that's Jason Kidd. And that's him past his prime. I mean, he's able to do those things like without even having to have the ball in his hand.
Well, he's a top 5-ish point guard all time. How about this? On a point guard list, he ranks higher than Dirk does on a power forward list, in my opinion.
And so, yes, when of course. And when I saw, that team constructed in the way it was and how deep they were, and they had him and they had Rick Carlisle, I was like, like Miami's in trouble because they had no depth at that point.
And here's what I mean when I'm saying, like, Magic played with James Worthy and Kareem. Bird played with McHale and Parrish and Dennis Johnson. Like, no, like, that ain't regular.
No, it's not. John Wayne.
Don't nobody knock their rings, though. Don't nobody look at Magic rings and be like, oh, but you had Kareem and James Worthy. Don't nobody look at Bird rings and be like, oh, you had McHale and Parrish. So why are you looking at KD's rings because he got Steph and Clay?
It's because, like I said,
they don't like
that
him.
Team.
They don't like him.
73-9 without him.
That team can't. Mike, the name of the game is to win. If you can't beat LeBron, it don't matter how many regular season victories you have. I get so tired of that 73-9 shit. Did the 73-9 team win a championship?
I agree with that part.
Then them niggas whack because LeBron beat that ass, and the only person that could stop it from happening again is who?
It should have been Steph, but I guess it was KD.
The top 10.
John Wayne with the super chat says top 10 all time are all great leaders. KD isn't.
That's not true. Hakeem wasn't necessarily the leader of his team. That's what I'm saying. No, Kareem wasn't the leader of his team. Magic was right there. He had Oscar Robertson early on. Kareem never led a team, Mike. Nobody said a word.
Brian with the super chat says, Mike.
Hold on. Shaq and Kobe weren't leaders like that. Nobody liked Kobe's leadership.
I mean,
Kobe didn't like Shaq's leadership. Right.
Brian's getting me with the super chat. He says, Mike, a couple of weeks ago, you said Black on Both Sides being rated 4 mics was appropriate rating. You guys also rated the new Gunna and Young Thug a 4 out of 5. Are you saying those albums are on the same level? It's a good question. Maybe we need to lower our ratings of those albums then. Because it's really usually what we do when it comes to these ratings. Usually there's an album that comes out that kind of sets the tone for where all the other ratings are going to be that year. We haven't had a tone setter in this year. So maybe with the Thug and Gunna, maybe we jumped out the window and rated it too high off top. Because I think that if there is a tone setter this year, it's the Michael album. And I think that's, I don't know, that might be a 4-3 if I'm going to be honest.
But here's, I think, the part people are missing. You can't keep holding on to old formulas and ways of doing things. The music world that exists when Black on Both Sides came out is not the music world that exists today.
Correct.
So why should the same rating scale exist?
It's true.
Just fundamentally is wrong.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, Mike and Coop, what up, fellas? But one question. Where's this guy Push at? The fashion show in Paris is over, and the smoke is in the air. You know what? I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Push got to come outside, man. And you said July 15th is Jim Jones' birthday. Let's give him to Jim Jones' birthday. Maybe he has something diabolical planned for that date. Who knows? But Coop told us that Jim Jones' birthday is on July 15th, so I'm going to give Pusha to that date.
I'm not worried.
I mean, you shouldn't be worried. But, I mean, we're not going to have a Black Slim Shady situation here where it's like a year and a half later and there's no response. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I got to bring that up. I mean, the game is a formidable opponent when it comes to this battle rap stuff. And I think that the Black Slim Shady was a great diss record. Ain't got a response. I'm sure if MGK made it, we'd get a response.
I'm going to say less and let you talk.
I'm still working on my Aftermath list, by the way. And I'm mad at Eminem for not giving me any ammunition against Death Row because I can't use any of his records.
Guess what I haven't done is work on my Death Row list.
You don't have to.
It's not going to take long.
It's very sad. Man got like 8 or 9 albums on Aftermath, and I can't use shit. Like, what am I going to use from Eminem's catalog against Death Row?
I happen to find Stan to be viable.
What is Stan going to beat against Death Row? like, let's be real with ourselves here. Like, what is Stan going to beat against Death Row?
You don't think Lose Yourself stands a chance against anything?
Lose Yourself is the one that I would use, but I don't know, man.
I love me some Rabbit Run, but that's just the rapper type of MC, and I like to hear from time to time. Rabbit Run's pretty special.
If you play Ambitions as a Rider from Pac, I have nothing for that. Not in Eminem's catalog.
You have nothing in Aftermath's catalog for that, Mike. Don't feel bad.
I got stuff that's close, but
keep telling yourself that.
If you were to play I Ain't Mad at You, what do I got in Eminem's catalog for that?
Once again, Mike.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't think you got. I told you, Mike, if I had Tupac's pre-Death Row catalog, I could just play Tupac and beat you. Literally,
I'm not going to back down.
I could pick 25 Tupac songs and beat the Aftermath catalog, Mike. I'm not joking.
So you want to do Tupac versus Aftermath is what you're telling me?
I could. And catch this fade, Mike. I'm telling you don't want it.
That's embarrassing.
You don't want it.
I listen, I don't believe that. All right, on to the topic.
Fuck around and find out.
Hey, listen, man, I'd rather do the Death Row Aftermath thing. I feel like you got more ammunition with Death Row. I think that, no disrespect, I think if we're picking Pac versus Aftermath,
it's more of a fair fight.
That makes my chance even greater, but...
No, it makes it a fair fight.
What do y'all think I should do out there? Should I take the Death Row versus Aftermath, or should we just?
I mean, because here's the thing.
Should I take the Tupac Aftermath?
See, here's what you're missing, Mike. Just by taking on Tupac's catalog, well, I have at least 8 to 10 more classic songs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have Brenda's Got a Baby, I Get Around, Keep Your Head Up, Temptations,
Mm-hmm.
So Many Tears.
Listen, you got me against the world.
Dear Mom, that's what.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say it like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. And I still have All Eyes on Me, Book 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have Machiavelli.
Yep.
Yeah, you're in trouble. In all kinds of trouble.
I'd rather do the Death Row thing because I think that's
right.
That it makes more sense.
Whenever you want to put Tupac against the Crew, though, you just let me know.
But I'm an underdog in both matchups.
That's
honestly.
fine. Whenever you want to pick a crew that wanted with Tupac, you let me know.
Well, speaking of Tupac, man, Tony Yayo just went on Drink Champs. What was that? Earlier this week or last week or something? And he was going in on the notion. I think it's the tone for me, and I always talk about tone, right? He asked DJ EFN who is his favorite rapper. And he said Ice Cube from the West Coast, and that's a great pick. And Tony Yayo's laughing it off like Cube is not a worthy, type of MC up against somebody like a Biggie.
The disrespect is high.
The disrespect is high. And I think this is a transition from Pac because you and I were having a whole discussion about, Pac and Cube, and that's actually a formidable debate. You know why? Because Pac actually has a bunch of albums. Now, I've been on record to say on this show that I think if Big would have lived and continued the course that he was on, it's no doubt in my mind that he would have possibly been the greatest MC ever. But again, that was before this recent Nas run, so I don't know. That changes things. I do think that from a skill set standpoint, Big had a lot of tools early on, right? And I also say that no one in music, maybe with the exception of Jimi Hendrix or somebody, did more with 2 albums than Big did. But even with that being said, you're not going to be put above somebody with a catalog and longevity like an Ice Cube with 2 albums. It's just impossible. You can't. Now, I'm not saying that Big can't be ahead of certain people with 2 albums because, yeah, he's one of the few guys with 2 albums. We got 20-plus joints that we're going to hear forever. That's how excellent his work was. But if you're talking about somebody like Cube, who's been here since '88, who's the author of Gangsta Rap, who is the writer for Straight Outta Compton, you know what I'm saying? Who's the writer for Easy Does It, and then has America's Most, Kill It Will, Death Certificate, The Predator, on and on. No. And like his son said, like Cube's son said, life after death is pretty much molded around Death Certificate. You got the life side and the death side. He said, don't believe me, ask Puff, because I'm sure Puff probably told his son that. I mean, it is what it is.
I thought it was Ice Cube himself that said that.
No, that was his son that said that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, on our list, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
we have Ice Cube at 4.
Okay.
We got Biggie at 6. And I think that's wonderful for Big.
It is.
That he's that high. It really speaks to his greatness.
Exactly.
But he's not better than Ice Cube all time. And I'm going to tell you why, because it's like for me, I have to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Because I listened to Death Certificate from beginning to end today. And it's probably been about a year since I have. Biggie just doesn't talk about the plight of black people and social issues and social construction and deconstruction the way Ice Cube does. He doesn't talk about Project Life the way Ice Cube does. And the rhetoric that Biggie spits, although it's wonderfully woven and creative and it's all the things and his picture's hanging on my wall still, it's not as important as the shit that Ice Cube been putting down from day one, Mike. I'm sorry.
It's true.
And if you think so, you're just sadly mistaken. Now, if you think Biggie has a better voice or is a better verbalist or wordsmith or is a better songwriter,
yeah,
like you can think those things, but don't think that he's greater all time, because it's like you can't kick that pro-black shit that a lot of us kick and tell me why you would have Biggie ahead of Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying?
Very well said.
Like you can, but just don't kick that shit to me. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? It's funny you say that because my mind didn't even go there, but you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
Why
does Biggie have a more important record than Fuck the Police?
But it's the consistent, like, Death Certificate is a master class on social black rhetoric in the projects.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, when I listened to it today, I was like, oh shit. I was like, the only album that I can think of that is more important than this is It Takes a Nation.
Yeah.
That includes Over to Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
Well, I mean, we were very vocal on the disrespect of having Kendrick ahead of Ice Cube. That's fucking insane. Kendrick Lamar himself will tell you he's not over.
Listening to Death Certificate, Mike, it sounds even more insane today.
Yeah.
It's very much It Takes a Nation of Millions West.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Or America's Most West, however you want to juxtapose it. But it's, I mean, Mike.
Well, speaking of which, you want to hear what Chuck D had to say about it?
I think, I was just thinking today, Mike, it's like, no, we have Death Certificate way too low. It could be a top 10 album maybe, and it's probably definitely top 15.
I'm with that. You know I'm a big Death Certificate
And it's
fan.
more consistent beginning to end than Life After Death too, Mike. It is.
I never thought I would hear you say that.
It is. It's more consistent beginning and end. Life After Death has better moments in terms of the highs.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, it's not as consistently marvelous.
This is what Chuck D had to say about this debate.
It's a wonderful album, Mike.
It is. It's personally one of my favorites. And again, I think that, some of that rhetoric that's on that album, I love. And so when we're talking about all-time ranking, I think that sometimes I try to be as objective as possible. And certain albums and certain artists are so close to me that I might be finding a way to be difficult. I mean, I might find it difficult, to be objective. And I think Death Certificate's one of those. Like, I never rank Chuck D normally because it's like I don't know how to. I don't know how to be objective when it comes to certain people.
Right.
But this is what Chuck said about this debate. Chuck D from New York, Long Island, Strong Island.
Yeah.
He says, Yayo has NYC regional taste. That's what he said.
Oh.
And art is subjective. Everybody got an opinion, but Ice Cube single-handedly glued Coast. A difficult thing to do, unprecedented in fact, in a dominant way.
Fascinating.
And that's when O'Shea Jr. said, people know who my GOAT is. It's not fair to even ask me, but I will say Life After Death's whole concept is from Death Certificate. Ask Diddy if you think I'm lying. And it's all love at the end of the day. Both things well said.
It is all love, but,
we got to keep history right.
And I think we have some more East Coast bias going on because here's the reality of the matter. Ice Cube's arguably a top 3 MC all time.
Mm-hmm.
He's right there. I mean, after Nas and Jay, you could have Tupac, Ice Cube, Rakim, and it would make perfect sense. He belongs right there.
I'm going to ask you something, and I was talking to somebody earlier. We was talking about Cube and his whole legacy, and they brought up something that made a lot of sense, and I never thought about it in this way. Is Cube the first MC to leave a group? Not only just leave a group and become a star on your own, I think he might be the first MC to really leave a group, period, and go solo in hip-hop.
I never thought about that.
Interesting,
no,
right?
No.
Who we got?
Kool Moe Dee.
Okay. Treacherous
3.
Okay.
Then Kool Moe Dee went solo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We got Kool Moe Dee.
So Kool Moe Dee would be the guy.
Okay. And then Cube.
I think.
Leaving a group at the group's height, though. We've never seen anything like that.
I mean, like I said, Mike, he was the social commentary of the group, though it really wasn't like it wasn't NWA after he left anyway. They wasn't niggas with attitudes anymore. They was just niggas.
It's just niggas. Brian with the super chat says, Coop, I understand what you're saying, but most people say Bonds Over Bad Dad is classic. Oh, no, not Bonds Over Bad Dad. What I'm talking about, Black on Both Sides is classic. Nobody is going to look back at Thug's album in 10 years and say it's classic. Do we say, hold
They said that when Future first came out, Mike.
Let's keep it all the way a buck, guys. Do we view Black on Both Sides that highly because most never gave us anything anymore after that? Is that what that's more so about, or is that about the album itself? I feel like the Black on Both Sides talk and the Black Star talk is more so about the artist and not the actual album. Because I'll be the first to tell you if an album is just straight up and down that. You know what I mean? I was over here caping for Main Ingredient the other day. Black on Both Sides has its moments, and we know Most has that level of potential, and I know we miss hearing Most rap like that ever again or whatever, but Black on Both Sides, the album, is not everything y'all are saying it is. It's the artist that you love.
It's not, and people need to stop.
Yeah.
Stop it.
It's kind of some capital punishment stuff, in my opinion. It's because of Pun's, we know what Pun can do, and we never got it again.
I think Capital Punishment's better than Black on Both Sides.
I'm not mad at that. I can agree with that.
There are better songs on there from beginning to end. He's got Dream Shatterer. He's got Super Lyrical.
Yeah.
He's got the original Still Not a Player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's got You Came Up. He's got the Triple Sace joint with Deck and Prodigy. No, that shit's like that. Capital Punishment is like that. It's like that was something that was a 4 when it came out, that if you wanted to give it a little extra higher now, tell me it's like a 4.25. Yeah.
We're talking, I mean, that's 99 and 98.
And I don't prefer Pun the most, just so we're clear.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm the same boat. I prefer Most over Pun. I think Capital Punishment's the better album.
Because it is.
I think Moment of Truth is better than both albums.
Because it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's clearly better than both of those albums.
And I've told you on this show, Train of Thought is better than Black on Both Sides to me.
And I used to think that you were tripping, but I hear some of what you're saying when you say it. Like some of what you're, like the consistency, because that's the thing.
Yeah.
Moses' project, it shows those flashes of like brilliance. It says he could be one of the most talented to ever do it, but there's also moments where you're like,
The biggest reason I say Train of Thought is better, and no disrespect to Talib because he did his thing on the album, is High Tech. The consistency of the production and what High Tech was able to do on that album in the end, I think trumps the production that's on Black on Both Sides.
I can agree with that actually in hindsight, Mike. I may not have felt that way when it first came out, but I probably would agree with you more now.
I think the Blast, Blast and Miss Fat Booty, that's a tough one.
I actually would take the Blast, Mike.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at that. That's a tough one, though. Esquire with the super chat says, so by the black rhetoric logic, why should Jay rank higher than Scarface or KRS-One? I personally rank Biggie higher than Cube, but they're both top 10. Again, when we talk about Biggie, all of it seems to be vacuum talk. You know what I'm saying? We're grading Biggie from a vacuum lens. To say that you have Biggie over Cube, what exactly does Biggie do or has he done over a duration of time that would make you feel like he's deserving of a spot over Cube?
I thought of Jay today too. And here's the thing that people have to understand about Jay. Jay's always been insightful.
Mm-hmm. Always. And they try to narrow it down to 444, and that's not the truth. That's why we're not fascinated about 444.
Like 444.
We're not fascinated about 444 like everybody else.
This guy is insightful.
Exactly.
So this is what I'm saying. Biggie's project stories are personal.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Everyday struggles personal. You know what I mean? When Jay is having street rhetoric and street talk, it's something almost like a teaching moment, if that makes sense. That's why I love Imaginary Players so much. It's like, no, I didn't know what he was talking about until I had money. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean. And this is no disrespect even to Big. Jay is probably the only other guy that I heard other than Pac where the stuff that he would say in between the records or before the record or after the record sometimes was just as important as the stuff he was saying on the record and help connect the record.
Yeah.
So his street rhetoric is very, very insightful. What the hell do you think Friend or Foe is?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? What do you think The Evils is?
Exactly.
What do you think these records are? Mike, even at the end of Rhyme No More, me and my homies started out code these. Use the mailbox lock because I ain't have no key. Had the chain with the anchor when Jazz made Sophie. Then I went low key, but now I'm back. It's on, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
Exactly.
So he's always been insightful. he's just always, Mike, he's always been a hustler and a baller too. So he's the guy that just got insightful about that. I was wearing all this platinum when all y'all chicks thought it was silver and shit. Popping that Cristal when y'all niggas thought it was beer and shit. He's always been insightful. It's just the rhetoric that he's insightful about that you don't know. And I hate to say it like this. Well, you might not have ever had money, because it's like the more money you get, the more you understand how insightful Jay is. I told you that manicure on a plane shit changed my life. I was like, you can get manicures on a plane, nigga? I said, this nigga going to jail.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I kind of deduced the fact that, conversational Jay, I feel like conversational Jay is the best Jay. That's Jay at his best.
He's insightful.
Nobody does conversational rap like Jay does. But you know where that comes from? That's that Iceberg Slim shit. Like, this nigga is a nice MC who, he got some pimp talk in him. He got pimp bones in his body. And he's talking like stuff like Imaginary Player and, some of the insightful
Cashmere
stuff.
Thoughts.
He's talking to you like a pimp would. Like, he giving you direction.
When I drop the subject, verb, and the predicate for this rich nigga rhetoric.
Exactly. And that's where that elegant talk comes from.
Yeah, I'm solid gold. I rap like a mink stole. I stick pearl tongues your world will never know. From New York to Paris, the vocal style vary. From nice to deadly, like a bad bag of D. See how he gets insightful with who he is still?
Exactly.
He's always been insightful. People like, oh, Jay's being insightful on 4 for 4. I'm like, nigga, have you not been? Mike.
Even, damn, you fading him, ho. How you gave him that?
Listen.
That's that pimp talk.
I told you, Mike, I didn't understand Can I Live till I was in Vegas at the tables.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, meet me by the tables that start a G up. This way no fraud willies pressing, gambling they re-up. And we can have a pleasant time sipping margaritas.
I feel like Jay has a level of consciousness to him.
Very insightful.
Big does not. He did not. I think he would have at some point, but he didn't live long enough to even have that.
Big just don't talk that way.
Yeah, that's the separation from him and Pac anyway.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, Big can still be who Big is and be great at all the things, but he's not like, Jay's insightful. And it just, maybe he relates more to certain people that have had certain type of money, certain type of influence, understand certain things. You know what I mean? He does appeal to the pimps and the players and the hustlers and the dudes with money.
Yeah.
And
that's his lane.
And he's never
he chose that.
He's unabashed about that.
Yeah.
But he's also great at it, Mike.
And he's actually done some, I don't want to say conscious records, but you could tell he knows what's going on.
Mike, I didn't know what the difference was between a 4.0 and a 4.6 until he told me.
Yeah.
I was like, it costs that much more? I was like, hold on. I'm like, the 4.0 don't got leather? That's a ripoff.
Brian with the super chat says, poll it. Is Black on Both Sides a classic? Yes or no? We'll poll it. I'm sure people will say yeah. But again, man, this is what you need to do, Brian. Line up Black on Both Sides with other classics.
How about this? Something like Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep is better than Black on Both Sides. Black on Both Sides ain't fucking with Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep.
You want to go track for track with those?
Pull it up.
Yeah, I think that'd be a problem for Black on Both Sides.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
you want to pull it up?
We did ATLians in Hell on Earth on the Patreon. ATLians got that work.
Now, dudes outside of New York don't be running around calling Hell on Earth no classic.
Right.
Not like that.
But you know why?
It is.
Because they got the infamous. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like,
you don't even want to go to the infamous.
Yeah, we want to sit here and give Black on Both Sides extra points because we never got another Mos Def album in that vein, rather. He never had an opportunity to, well, he had an opportunity, but he never actually gave the fans something that was a level up from that.
Ain't nobody
so we just hang on to that.
And nobody's walking around thinking that Black on Both Sides is even the level of, Mike, it's not even Iron Man.
And the other part of it, Coop, it came out in a weak year. Because honestly, outside of 2001, what 99 looked like?
How about this? Put it up against Things Fall Apart.
Yeah. Leroy Green with the super chat says, it's not that Jay was just insightful. It's the fact that Jay centered an album around his family. How many rappers never mention their wives and kids? I'm respectfully, Leroy Green, I don't give a fuck about that, man. If the music is banging, it's banging, man. Like,
trying to hear that.
Niggas could talk about taking their kid to soccer practice if that shit's hard. Like,
I'm not gonna. You did a dope record called Soccer Dad last year. Was that last year? Or was that 2 years ago?
That wasn't last year. It was like a couple years ago. But yeah,
it was dope.
Yeah, it was dope. The thing is, man, I'm not gonna sit here and listen to 444 and make myself like it because of what he's talking about, because he's attempting to talk about his wife and kids. That's cool and all. And I respect that. That doesn't mean I want to listen to it. Respectfully.
I mean, well, Mike, you've been consistent about that when it comes to guys that's not Jay. And so that's just really you being consistent with the music that you like and your musical taste too.
Yeah, we getting echo. What were you about to say?
No. That was it. You've just been consistent about those, you know, those things.
I mean, yeah, it's about the music. I see what Leroy Green's talking about and what people do a lot is niggas give extra points for who made the song. I don't care who made the song.
Right.
I'm listening to the song. Like Puff said, press play. I press play. I don't care who made the record. Is the shit dope or not?
How about this? You think I would use Daughters by Nas like in a versus battle versus Jay?
No, but it's a dope record.
Exactly. Using that. I ain't using that record.
Yeah.
I'm going to do with that.
Yeah. Are we going to sit here and say, you know what? In a matchup, let me play this because this was a nice record that he did for his daughter.
You're going to be like, Coop, thanks for that easy victory.
Right. Boom. I don't even have to use you don't know on that. Esquire with the super chat says, detailed insight about luxury isn't black rhetoric. But see,
it is, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. That's what I'm trying to tell people. It's like, since when? It's like how Pimp C start off. Fuck with me.
Fuck with me. You know I got it.
A year ago I was in bondage.
Yeah.
Now I'm back out here.
Yeah.
Living life for all the things, see the things they don't understand. Why these niggas like shiny things? Because we really come from kings, and really originated from Africa.
Yeah. Because the thing is,
like, hold on, is that not true though?
It's true.
Do we not come from kings?
Yeah.
Do we not come from kings that like shiny things? So this rich nigga rhetoric is part of who we are too. See, we try to let this white society that we grew up in dispose us of that. No. It's okay to like nice shit and have nice shit. And I'm sick of black people and people in religious circles not thinking that it's okay. Because if you believe in the God that I was just telling somebody the other day, oh, no. God gave David and Solomon all the riches. They black as hell. All right? They ran kingdoms, gold everywhere. Mansa Musa is the richest man this world ever seen. That's a black man. He literally used to throw gold on the Silk Road when he would travel.
And that's what made people come down to Africa and find out
that's what made the
elements they had.
Thank you.
There.
That's what made the Silk Road even come to Africa. Mansa Musa's the Silk Road even extended itself. They're like, this nigga got money.
Yep.
He out here balling.
Let's go down there and see what resources they got.
We've been balling from the jump. So respectfully, whoever said they don't know what the hell they talking about.
That was Esquire again. Zuri with the super
Esquire,
chat
you
says,
bugging, fam. We got a lawyer talking about how.
But see, this is my thing is you're sitting here limiting Jay to that, Esquire. Like, Jay has spoken about so much stuff in his career. Big didn't. And I mean,
he didn't get an opportunity.
He didn't get an opportunity
but
to.
That's not Jay's fault.
Exactly. We can't sit here and line Jay and Big up like Jay has the same limitations Big has subject matter wise because he has more.
I love Big. Big don't really have no streets is watching. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, this is what I mean, because Jay thinks about things differently because he really did live this lifestyle on a certain level. If I shoot you, I'm brainless. But if you shoot me, you're famous. What's a nigga to do?
That's insightful.
When the streets is watching, blocks keep clocking, waiting for you to break, make your first mistake, can't afford it. That's the fastest way to get extorted. My time is money. In 25, I can't afford it. That's not insightful to you?
Right.
Stop that.
Exactly. Zuri with the super chat says, the closest thing to consciousness that Biggie has ever done is things done change.
I was thinking everyday struggle. Like to me, everyday struggle would be his version of the evils, except for Jay has other spin-offs. Of the evils. He has Friend or Foe. Yeah. He has Imaginary Player. He has Streets is Watching. He has You Must Love Me.
He does.
Yeah.
And not to mention Regrets.
Where I'm From is a whole insightful song about growing up in Brooklyn. Yeah. Yeah. Whether you're 4 feet or minute's size, it always starts out with 3 dice and shoot the 5. Niggas thought they deuce was live, so I hit them with trips. Then I reach down for their money. Paul, forget about this. This time it's platinum, like the shit on my wrist. And this Glock on my waist, y'all can't do shit about this. Niggas will show you love. That's how they fool thugs. Before you know it, you're lying in a pool of blood. That's not insightful to you?
Right.
I'm from where niggas pull your card and argue all day about who's the best MCs, Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. That's not insightful? That's not what dudes on the block is talking. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
he's saying insightful stuff that you can relate to. That's why we all related to him to the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you don't like the money talk because maybe, you know what I'm saying, your money might not be like that. It's like, but I never took it that way. He's always been insightful. It's why I have him so high, Mike. You can't find anybody more insightful than him that's not maybe Nas.
Yeah. John Wayne with the super chat says, Jay-Z has pro-black rhetoric. He's actually more radical. Do you fools listen to music or do you just skim through it? A lot of 5% rhetoric. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that too. We got a couple of more super chats. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Mike, I thought KD 3 was the bar for 2023. No, it was 2022.
We're in 2023 now.
Yeah.
Why would we have a bar for
an album from last year? All right, Esquire with the super chat says, I don't disagree, but if that's what qualifies as black rhetoric, Biggie has plenty. Ain't nothing changed except for the number after the range.
Yeah, that's where Jay got that from.
Yeah. Leroy Green with the super chat.
But that's what I'm saying. Think about it. Jay made a whole song about it. Mm-hmm. Biggie had flip a couple. Okay, so one of Biggie's talents.
Made a hot line or made a hot song.
Well, Biggie will say 3 or 4 hot bars, and then he'll flip into a different topic for another 3 or 4 bars. Now, that's a gift. But Jay got whole full-fledged songs where he's just like digging into these interwoven street concepts. It's different. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, how about this? Biggie needed more stuff like 10 Crack Commandments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Again, man, Biggie just needed more stuff, period. I think
right.
I think it's slightly disrespectful to the people who do have that level of longevity to say that someone's 3-year run trumps their 30-year career.
It's a great run, but no.
Yeah, it's an incredible run, but it's unfair.
It's unfair.
It really is. And to sit here and act like Cube's not even qualified to be in this conversation is fucking wild to me.
If Big was here, he'd tell you that's wild. He looked up to Ice Cube.
They all did. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk about that period.
Big and Puff watch the West Coast as closely as any East Coast dudes did.
Exactly.
Because it's all over the fabrics of Big's 2 albums.
That that little, I guess we would say, valley between the Rakim, Kane, KRS guys in the 80s and Nas, Big, Pac in the 90s. Mm-hmm. That pocket in between that, Cube's the guy. Period. Like that transitional period between the 80s and the 90s, like 90, 91, 92, Cube is the best rapper in the game.
I think he's the best. Mike, when did Death Certificate come out?
That's 92.
What year? I mean, what month though?
Shit. Off top, I don't know what month. I want to say that might have been in the summer or something.
Because here's what I tell you. Well, hold on. When is Kill at Will then?
Kill at Will is around 91, I believe. Leroy Green with the super chat says hip hop, love, Miss Fat Booty, Speed Law, Umi says, New World Water, Mr. Nigga, Mathematics. Come on, Coop. Black on Both Sides was dope. Nobody's saying it's not dope. But let's just be real. I like the hip hop song. I like the love song. Speed Law's cool. New World Water. But come on, man. We talking about classic now?
You gotta stop that.
Come on, guys. We got to be fair here. We giving extra points because of who making the records.
Right. That's okay. So America's Most is May of 90. Death Certificate is October 29th of 91.
Okay.
The Predator is November of 92. Lethal Injection is December of 93. I mean, Mike, I'd say he's the best rapper from 90 to 93.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's very... Rakim liked to be the best rapper that long.
Right.
Because Rakim was pretty much the best rapper from about 86, 87 to 90.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Very similar.
So, yeah. I mean,
while they're right next to each other on our list.
Who's better than Cube in that time period, guys? The only person you could possibly come up with is maybe Redman. And he's not.
Ain't none of
Redman's
album fucking with America's Most or Death Certificate. Nah. I'm sorry. It's not even.
It's not. And I love Redman.
I love Redman. Yep.
Esquire with the super chat says, I know Jay is insightful, but the examples you're giving are directly attributed to Big, too. Things done change, everyday struggle, suicidal thoughts. I got you, Esquire, but my argument here.
No, it's not. That's not even.
He ain't got enough still.
No, but Rom No More is not based on Jay. I mean, not based on Big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can I Live's not based on Big.
Yeah.
The Evils ain't based on Big. No. Imaginary Players is the only one where he actually took something from Big and like flipped it like song wise into something that insightful. Streets is Watching didn't come from Big.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's a totally inaccurate statement by Esquire. I'm kind of surprised, Esquire. You're a little bit more astute than that. That was a nice try. You tried it.
Esquire is trying to find a way to put Biggie ahead of Cube.
No, it's not happening.
And again, I feel like this is some Derek Jeter shit. And I think Derek Jeter's a very good baseball player, by the way. But I think the fact that he played in New York gave him extra points in the media. And I think that when it comes to Big being from Brooklyn really helps in this overall legacy talk. He's not better than Cube. I mean, he might have more tools in his lyrical arsenal than Cube, you know, from a technical standpoint.
Right.
But if we're talking about the resume, Cube did write Straight Outta Compton.
I've said this before. It's
Easy does it.
Well, David Ruffin's a better singer than Marvin Gaye, but don't nobody think David Ruffin's better all time over Marvin Gaye.
You can't prove it.
You can't prove it.
Like I said about the Rihanna-Beyonce thing. You think Rihanna's better than Beyonce? Prove it. Prove it on the stage. How are you going to prove that Big is better?
On the stage.
Yeah, you can't. Unless you're going to tell me Rihanna wrote all her songs.
As soon as you said stage, the conversation was over.
Yeah. I mean, if Big is better than Cube, let's pull out the resumes and prove it.
Because this is what people have to understand about Jay being insightful on a certain level. It's like, well, Jay has records that you could put next to these Ice Cube records because of the insightful nature of them.
Yeah.
Big doesn't have that. So some of these records just make it seem like Big's only concerned with flossing.
Yeah.
It can look like that against an Ice Cube.
It can.
Because of the depth of what he's saying. Because here's what people are forgetting. It's like, what does Biggie have for a bird in the hand? Or Uncle Sam? Or Black Korea? Like, what is he going to do to combat that?
He's not raging against the machine.
Right.
On none of his music.
Right. It's hard to beat. Much like It Takes a Nation of Millions. Like, think about it. I had Eric B. and Rakim, and I was struggling with Public Enemy.
This is what I'll say, though.
Because when you do that Rage Against the Machine music in hip-hop, and you do it at the level that Death Certificate is and America's Most is, no, that's just hard to fucking beat. Just like It Takes a Nation of Millions is hard to beat, Mike. It's hard to beat that because the rhetoric is so strong and so important. It's where the writing really matters in terms of the content.
This is what I want to say to Esquire, too. Hip-hop is, anti-establishment.
It ain't nobody.
And whatever you want to say about Jay, you can hear anti-establishment talk in his music.
How about this?
Even on Izzo, even on records like that, where he's Mike, I'm overcharging niggas for what they did to the Cold Crush.
If you actually look at our top 5 MCs, they're all anti-establishment.
Yeah, I do this for my culture.
Nas, Jay, Pac, Ice Cube, Rakim. Those are not establishment guys.
I do this for my culture. Let them know what a nigga look like when a nigga rent a roast. Show them how to move in a room full of vultures. Industry is shady. It need to be taken over. Label owners hate me. I'm raising the status quo up. I'm overcharging niggas for what they did to the Cold Crush. Pay us like you owe us for all the years that you hold us. Does Biggie have any talk like that?
No.
He doesn't. We're not making this up.
We're not making it up.
And maybe if he would have lived on, maybe he would have developed that. But he didn't have that.
He didn't. It just is
and Cube
what it
has too much of that.
That's what I'm saying. Cube got so much of that. How about this? If this is anti-establishment music, like if rap is really rebel music, how can you not have Ice Cube in your top 5?
Exactly.
Because who, for one, has the solo catalog that says it, has the embodiment of it in his real life works, Mike. Like, think about how much Ice Cube would be worth had he given into the establishment.
Yeah.
Think about it. And when I heard Death Certificate today, I just realized it's like, oh, this nigga been on this soapbox and has not stepped down
30 years.
And has not stepped the fuck
plus.
down off the soapbox yet.
Yeah. Doubling down. And 35 years later.
How can you not stand up and applaud that?
Yeah. I think that's why he's one of my favorite rappers, if not my favorite.
I mean, he was always high on my list, Mike, like outside my top 5 personally, but always like, in my top 10. And it's like his stock just went up for me because I thought about some guys that I love, like Ray and Ghost. It's like, nah, Ray and Ghost not better than Ice Cube, Mike.
He's too important.
He's too important. The stuff that he putting down is too important, and the stuff that he's doing by backing it up in real life
is even more.
And then I thought about it. He's talking shit on No Vaseline, Mike, about starting his own company. That's 1991. He's like, yeah, you niggas mad because I got my own company. I was like thinking like, man, this nigga bossed up so long ago.
So long ago.
Like he made an album, bossed up, and been bossing up ever since. And it's not back down. You understand that what he struggles with in business is because of the rhetoric on America's Most Wanted and Death Certificate, and he's never apologized for it.
No.
And he's not about to.
He's always figuring out a way to get
he's
it
like,
done
I'm going to work it.
regardless.
I'm going to make it work regardless, but I'm not apologizing.
You know, I don't know if you saw his Breakfast Club interview. But,
I didn't.
So, you know, Charlamagne was asking, you know, I guess what role his wife plays in his life or whatever. And, you know, he was like, yeah, she's huge. Obviously, it's his wife. You know, she's a part of everything. But one of the things that he said that I took away from that was when he said, you know, when I left NWA, she was the one that, you know, co-signed that I should leave. Because everybody else was like, oh, man, you got to stay with them. NWA is like, you know, on top of the world.
He's selling 3 million records.
Yeah, exactly.
And going around the world.
She was like, you know, you the one that everybody like anyway. So, you know, and he went off and did his solo thing.
She was right.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that level of insight and the fact that he jumped out of the biggest group ever, I mean, in rap at the time, and did it on his own.
They were going to go on and be the biggest rap group ever with him. With him, they're the best. With him, they're the best rap group of all time.
And then, like you mentioned earlier, the only other example we had of this was Kool Moe Dee and Treacherous 3. So he's kind of jumping out into uncharted waters. It really hadn't happened on a large level before. And then he went and did it with Priority. Like, the shit's insane.
It's 1990.
In 1990. We can't erase that.
And I'll also tell you this, you know, and then we can kind of go on to a next topic unless you have some more Ice Cube you want to talk about, because we could do a show like this.
Yeah, yeah.
I've always said the Ether is the best diss record of all time.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, Mike. Like, when I listen to No Vaseline, I'm like, man, it's not that everybody caught a body, Mike. It's that, like, he buried him alive. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Like, there are moments when I listen to Ether and I can look back at it and it's kind of funny now.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Takeover. It's like, oh, it was kind of cool watching them spar and like dish like this.
Right.
There's something about Ice Cube's No Vaseline, Mike, that is still like fierce in a battle rap sense to this day, of just like going for somebody's jugular and just like Mike, he ripped them apart. He did end the group. He ended NWA.
It's vicious, man. Like he said in the Who Kid interview we were just watching before we got on, you know, Who Kid showed him this list. I forgot who made the list, but they had No Vaseline at number 3, and Cube's like, who they got ahead of me on this? And they had Hit 'Em Up, and it was Ether ahead of it. He's like,
Hit 'Em Up don't even.
He was like, Hit 'Em Up. He was like, you know, Pac had a lot. You know what I mean? The Outlaws are on there, and I've always felt like that about Hit 'Em Up as well. Like, I can't really give it what people give it because Pac just got like one verse and he passes it off.
That record's not good, Mike. I'm sorry. Hit 'Em Up is not a good record. It's not a top 30 Tupac song. Maybe not even top 40 in his catalog. Seriously. And I get so tired of people overrating that song. The beat's not that great. Rhyme-wise, he literally has hundreds of rhymes better than that rhyme. He's got hundreds of song concepts better than this concept. Mike, like, he's got records that have never been released. Like, I wonder if Heaven Got a Ghetto that's better than Hit 'Em Up.
Yeah.
Like, stop with the Hit 'Em Up talk. It's not a dope record, Mike. It's just okay.
One thing the Cube
definitely
did
ain't no top 5 diss record. Definitely ain't no top 10 diss record, Mike. It might not even be top 20 in my book. The shit just okay. It's a fucking B-side to How Do You Want It.
Yeah.
That ain't no great diss record. Great diss records don't end up on the B-side of like platinum selling singles and shit.
It's memorable.
They tend to stand on their own. It's a fucking B-side to How Do You Want It.
I think the rant's more memorable than most of the songs.
That's what I'm saying. It ain't. That's what I mean. It ain't even about the song. The song itself is not that good. Stop with that Hit 'Em Up shit.
But yeah, Cube was like, No Vaseline, I don't even think NWA made a song after No Vaseline. He literally ended the world's most dangerous group. And he did it on an album where, like you said, Death Certificate's not even about them. America's Most, 5 mic album, The Source gave it a 5 mic out the gate. He didn't say anything about NWA on there.
Just made a great album.
He went the whole way of Death Certificate, did the same thing, and it's like at the end, like, oh wait, thought it was over? It ain't over, motherfuckers. And then, boom. I think it's the most impressive diss record ever, and I've always had it ahead of Ether because of, I just think it's a better song. I've never been a big fan of Ether's beat. I think that Nas is the shining thing when it comes to Ether. I think that the fact that he's going up against somebody like Jay, who is at the height of his career at the time, and just being the ultimate underdog somehow, if you can even imagine Nas being an underdog, but he had the machine against him. So I give Ether big props for that. No Vaseline, though. It's inventive in a way where he took these guys apart verse for verse. I always ask, like, who you think got it the worst on that song? I think Ren might have gotten it the worst on that song.
I'm going to tell you who got it the worst. Actually, first of all, I'll agree with you in saying that it's like degree of difficulty goes to Nas for Ether because who Jay was at the time that Ether dropped. And Ether's a great record. I also agree with you about the beat.
Yeah.
The beat's not all that the shining moment of Ether, I'm telling you.
But maybe that was by design. He's like, listen, I want you to hear what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm telling you, the shining moment of Ether is still that hook, in my opinion. For me personally, in the Tupac intro. Like, you know what I mean? The intangible things. Very, very excellent, well put together. And don't tell me Ron Brown's put that together. You know what I mean? That's Nas knowing his history. You know what I'm saying? And knowing his Tupac stuff because he's a big Tupac fan. And the whole hook thing. Dr. Dre called it the worst on No Vaseline. Because the reason the NWA really didn't exist anymore is because when Dre heard that shit, he knew it was true, and that's what prompted Dre to start his shit. And that's why Dre called it the worst, because Dre's the one that got hurt the most by it.
Try to sound like America's most. You can yell all you want, but you never come close. Well, he was like, man, he ran 100 miles, but you still got one to go.
Ran 99 miles, but you still got one to go. Yeah.
Hold on.
Hey, Dre, stick to producing.
Hold on. I think I missed some of these super chats. Let me get back to this real quick.
Man, true to the game, steady mobbing, a bird in hand. Nigga, you love to hate. No, hold on. Yeah?
Nigga, you love to hate's crazy. AB Studios with the super chat says, fake Basquiat politically correct Jay is no better than 90s 2001 Jay. The Jay, that Jay is long gone. From fake selling 444 to forgettable everything is love. LP with the super chat says, want to argue that Cube got a better catalog. Cool. But if we're saying who's a better rapper is, it's not even close. We knocking big for getting killed. If we want to say who's a better rapper, would you say the Lupe Fiasco is more lyrically skilled than Biggie? If we want to start playing that game.
That's what I'm saying. Don't play those games.
Yeah. Does Biggie have a mural in his catalog? If we want to do that.
Biggie don't even have a Dumb It Down.
Yeah. If we want to do that. If we want to start pulling out who's the better technical rapper and shit, we can do a whole lot of stuff.
I know when I listen to Big, I hear somebody that is quote unquote a better MC than Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? Based on what you hear, it's almost like that eye test thing.
Right.
But it's like you do understand that Ice Cube passes the eye test too, and he produces more.
Yeah.
And we can't. Here's the thing about it: that people need to understand. Well, we can't knock Big for passing away, but we can't continue to hold the other guys who didn't hostage because Big passed away.
Exactly.
It's not fair to Ice Cube.
It's not fair. You know, I've been doing my.
And I hate to be the one to break it to people. America's Most in Death Certificate, even if you do want to cut it off to competes with Ready to Die and Life After Death, it maybe beats them. So people need to be careful about what they're saying too, because if you just want to go for a 2-album run, it's like, no, there's a lot of people competing with Big on 2 albums run.
Yeah.
Illmatic, It Was Written, Follow the Leader, Let the Rhythm Hit Him. Ice Cube with America's Most in Death Certificate. Stop acting like Big is untouchable.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg on the Chronic and Doggy Style. No, guys have been on 2 albums and sounded just as great as Big has.
Listen, man, I've been doing a deep dig on Jimi Hendrix, and I'm just fascinated in the sense that.
Why, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, I just
curious.
Was listening to Voodoo Child, and I'm sitting here like, yo, man, this sounds like rock music that I was listening to in the 80s, 90s. Like, this nigga was
'Cause it
sounding like
is.
this in 66, 67.
Because it was.
And he died in 1970. And he didn't get a chance to extend his catalog in the 70s, 80s, whatever.
Got what, 3 albums?
I think so, yeah. So, yeah. Would it be fair for me to say no one's better than Jimmy because he clearly was first, and I have more of an argument with him because he was so transcendent in the way that he was playing things, and things copied that decades later. But you can't hold everybody else hostage because something unfortunate happened and he wasn't able to continue on his catalog. If Jimmy would have made music throughout the 70s, imagine where his shit would be.
But it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
So we can't just, you know what? And we could look on the flip side too, LP. What if Biggie made a third album and it was whack? That shit could have happened.
I mean, but it's like, you know.
It could have happened.
You know, like, but saying Jimi Hendrix is the best guitarist ever isn't fair to Prince for how long he wielded a guitar.
Exactly.
It's just not.
It's not fair.
Even if in a vacuum he's a better guitar player.
Because at that point, what it looks like is like, you know what? No matter what you do, you'll never get past this person that didn't live that long.
And that's not fair.
It's not.
It's not fair. It's just not
but
fair.
See, that doesn't work in any other craft, right?
It
Like, so if we got a guy who played ball, right, and you went out there and got 2 MVPs, had an untimely demise or whatever happened, so that person is still going to be better than the person that went out there and got multiple championships and 4 MVPs and got more points than them, did everything more.
I'll tell you what. You know how I feel about Grant Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when I look at the players today, like I say if you were to move him a generation up and put him in LeBron and KD's generation and Steph's generation, he would be there with those guys if he was healthy.
Yeah.
That's what type of player he is. All time, he's not considered that way. Why, Mike?
Because he didn't do it.
He got hurt.
Yeah, it happened.
And it's just the reality
Penny
of the
Hardaway,
matter.
too.
Same thing with Penny. Love those guys. Like, people forget Penny made all NBA first team his second year.
Yeah.
At point guard. I want you to understand, it's like, no, guys who are like Hall of Fame point guards were still walking around like John Stockton, Gary Payton, Tim Hardaway, who should be in the Hall of Fame in my opinion. These guys were at their peak, like running around, and he made all first team All NBA over them, including a slew of other guys like Rod Strickland. Who else? I'm missing a few guys, but yeah, he came along in a time and made All NBA first team like immediately.
In a vacuum, knowing what they can do. We're talking about health and everything being there, injuries not a factor. I'm drafting Penny Hardaway over Chris Paul.
Me too.
But I'm not going to sit here and argue that he's better than Chris Paul overall because he's not.
I don't think you understand. It's like a prime Penny, like, only person I'm definitely taking over him is Magic.
Yeah.
Rest of those guys, it's fair game. It's like I'm taking him over Jason Kidd and Gary Payton too.
And with that being said, that would be how unfair would that be to Chris Paul's career for me to say that Penny's better than Chris Paul? He's not.
Man, Penny would dunk all on Gary Payton and Jason Kidd and all them dude. He would, if he was healthy, would have ruined the same way Magic did everybody.
Yeah. That's why the super chat says y'all are misinterpreted. I love Q, Big, and Jay. We're splitting hairs. My point is your logic is slightly inconsistent. If we're putting a premium on insight and pro-blackness, you can't rate Kim over Kendrick. I knew Esquire was going to go the Kendrick route. We can discuss that later, too.
What has Kendrick done for black people that's so pro-black?
he got
I'll wait
songs
for
about
it. No. I'm going to say, see, this is what I'm talking about with Ice Cube. I said when you
real life.
You go listen, I'm going to say it slow again for people. When you go listen to the music, and then you go look at the person in real life and it matches up, we have to be consistent. What the hell Kendrick do other than make To Pimp a Butterfly? Like, Ice Cube is really out here living this America's Most and Death Certificate life for 30 years.
Yeah.
Kendrick made To Pimp a Butterfly and acted like it didn't exist anymore. Stop that. And Lil' Kim has done more to empower black women than Kendrick has ever done to empower black men. So there you go with that. And probably has employed more black people in the process. Hello. Message.
LP with the super chat says.
All that pro-black shit be talking about with Kendrick. Mike, I get so sick of hearing that. What pro-black community work this nigga be doing? Am I missing something? For real. What black man do you know that Kendrick's empowered? I know a legion of women our age that felt empowered by Lil' Kim as black women.
No, I think that Kendrick's inspired a whole generation.
I ain't say that. I said empowered, not inspired. Inspired is what makes you pick up a pen and write or paint or draw or do something creative. Empowerment is something that shifts the culture and the navigation of our existence here.
Okay.
Lil' Kim's done more for this culture than Kendrick. Stop that.
LP with the super chat says, Big ran the game from the moment he dropped. I don't know if that's true. He ain't have nothing to be anti about. Cube and Jay played in the beginning. Hold on.
How did he run?
Cube and Jay got played in the beginning. Excuse me. Big ain't lived long enough to be jaded. He's being knocked for not living enough. Okay. Let's rewind this because there's a lot of falsehoods going on.
First of all, Biggie's album dropped a few months after Illmatic, so he didn't run shit. That was also the year Snoop sold 4 million records because Doggy Style had just dropped. So not only did he not make the best album the year he came out, he didn't sell the most records. So it's like he literally has no claim to that. Like, you got outsold by Snoop. Illmatic's better than Ready to Die. Where did he come in running shit exactly now?
I don't understand how he doesn't feel like Cube didn't come in running shit. That's NWA. You didn't think Straight Outta Compton was running shit?
That's coming
in and running shit. What are you talking about?
That's coming in and running shit.
What are we talking about?
Like this, people understand. How about this, Mike? People made Tupac wait to release his second album about Ice Cube being around.
Exactly.
They're like, think about this. That's Pac. They're like, nah, you can't drop. They're like, why? Ice Cube out here running shit. And we actually want to give you a fair chance. So you're going to sit and wait for this Ice Cube shit to die down a little bit. That's why Strictly for My Niggas don't come out till 93.
Exactly. He's that big.
Because in 90, 91, and 92, it wasn't until Ice Cube made something that people felt wasn't classic, which is The Predator in 93, then Tupac drops.
So at what point was Cube struggling? Because
cut the shit.
Because Straight Outta Compton hit right away, right?
Like double, triple, immediately.
And once they found out that this man was leaving the group and going solo, all of that shit hit right away. Kill It Will and America's Most.
Yeah, America's
He had
Most.
no build up to no projects. Like, he's Ice Cube out the gate. If anybody is running shit out the gate, it's Cube. Cube was running shit out the gate before Big was.
And think about it. Mike, he's doing this without big hit singles.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
grassroots.
It's real organic and real pro-black. Like, really, in reality. It's not even stuff to really play on the radio. It's just great fucking music.
I remember in 94.
Like, he ran shit because he was making the best music, Mike.
We know Big was big, right? But I remember in 94, I feel like Flavor in Your Ear was a bigger record than the records Big had out at the time.
Because it was.
Until the One More Chance remix, which was 95.
That's 95.
Exactly. So if we're talking 94 and running shit right away, that's false.
You see how people...
He was a player in the game, but he wasn't the guy that we're talking about right now in 94. That's not true. He was one of the guys. Like you said, Snoop Dogg, if we're talking about an individual, was the guy.
If we're talking about an individual, Snoop's the guy in 90.
That was the guy.
Listen, if we're talking... look, if we're talking about a song in 94, it's Flavor in Your Ear.
Yeah.
If we're talking about an album, it's Illmatic. If we're talking about an artist, it's Snoop.
Mm-hmm.
These are facts.
But see, you see how what they pull on the night of the Source Awards matters in history because people who weren't there see that Big won all the awards.
Right.
And that tells the story of 94, and it doesn't.
That's not true.
It's not.
It didn't happen like that. I told you I was at that. If Big was running shit from the jump, why he had a tent next to Big L in Summerfest in Charlotte in 95?
He was running shit from the jump. Why do we even get the One More Chance remix in 95? Why are we still getting singles like Who Shot Ya in December of that year?
I'm going to tell you why, too, and people forget this. It's like, man, he was still competing with Method Man. Tikal dropping in December of 94.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tikal dropped that year, too, and Tikal went platinum, too. Like, Ready to Die and Tikal's sales were comparable.
Stephon Young with the super chat says, Tupac, What They Owe is my favorite storytelling song. I feel like I missed the super chat from Zuri, man. Can we pull that up? Is there some super chats we missed, producer? Oh, don't put nobody's name out there. I think it was one for Zuri. But, yeah, I mean, I agree with that 100%, man. It's like Flavor in Your Ear was the song of that year.
People saying Kendrick done a lot for Compton. He should. That's his hometown. Next.
John Wayne
Like,
said,
I'm
"I
not giving
missed
nobody
his
credit
super
for
chat
doing
too."
what I'm not giving nobody credit for doing what they're supposed to do. Like if you make it and you don't take care of your neighborhood, that's just something that we don't endorse or encourage, for one.
Yeah.
But when you want to talk about empowering this culture, you got to do more than make an album and then disappear for another 2 years and then never talk about the album again. There is nothing empowering about that.
You know what I
They're
mean,
like, the message is empowering. That's great. Does he stand by the
is
message?
the message, because we don't know what the message really is. You know what I mean? It's like it's whatever is left for interpretation, because we don't have any interviews. And I've always said the most powerful part about, you know, Tupac's legacy, in my opinion, is the interviews. And when you go back and listen to these Tupac interviews, you understand the music even more. And the music's just not rhetoric at that point. The man really believes.
You mean it matches up with what he talked about in his music?
Yeah.
And he actually talked about it?
That's why interviews are important in hip hop. And I'm not just saying this as a journalist, but for me, the entertainment side of it is the music. Correct. Now, if you really believe what you're speaking on the mic, that's when the interviews come into play and you can actually hear from the actual entertainer, the artist, the person who put this together. Where was your mind at on this stuff? What made you come with this? And you get deeper meanings behind that. With Kendrick, we don't get any of that. We just get the movie. We get the entertainment side of it. We don't get the actual real person behind the entertainment. That's a lot missing.
It's Mike, if all you get is the music, how do you even know if it matches for what his rhetoric is?
Exactly.
Because how about this? If he had a Biggie type rhetoric, I would be more okay with him being reclusive and not outside. Well, it's like, well, you really ain't talking about too much and you're kind of giving me what I want right in front of me at face value. But the way he takes things and where he takes things and then how people take it, all I'm saying is that show me how it's empowering, because it doesn't appear to even empower him, is what I'm saying. It's just a stream of conscious thoughts that he have, and it's okay to admit that, but stop making it seem like that it's, you know, death certificate. It takes a nation of millions. Like, you know, music with a clear, concise message for our community.
And backed by the actual entertainers that make it, and the artists that make it, and the writers that make it.
Heaven forbid that your lifestyle should match up to the shit you're talking about on record that's making you rich and famous. Heaven forbid.
Did you see what Pete Rock had to say?
I did, actually. But only because you posted it on accordingtohiphop.com.
Yes, and on According to Hip Hop.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Follow According to Hip Hop on all platforms and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you know when we're live. Anyway, Pete Rock posted about Heavy D not getting his proper acknowledgement in this Hip Hop 50. That's what Pete Rock posted on his Instagram. He said, "I respect absolutely none of this talk about 50 years home."
Hold on, Mike. One second.
Can you get to some of those super chats that we might have missed? Because
John Wayne, just type your super chat back in, and I'm gonna read it
we'll
out.
get you, John Wayne. Rigger 49er says, I think Cube's peak was higher than Big's. And John Wayne says, I listened to more Volume 1 than To Pimp a Butterfly, although To Pimp a Butterfly is great. And we also have, because I don't want to miss nobody, Stephon Young says, Biggie, Nas, Jay's first albums flopped. In my opinion, I believe Big and Nas and Jay got a lot of exposure because of Tupac's beef. The Machiavelli intro, just my opinion. Okay, let me get to what Pete Rock said about Heavy D. This is going to be a great show. All right, so Pete Rock speaking about the fact that Heavy D ain't been getting his prop in Hip Hop 50. What's that, Coop?
Zuri, put your super chat in too, so we can read it too.
We got to get Zuri. I think I missed that. Because what happened, man, I was going through the chat, and then it just limited the actual chats, and I didn't get a chance to get back up to theirs. But we got you. Says, I respect absolutely none of this talk about 50 years of hip-hop that doesn't include Heavy D and the boys. He kicked down the door and paved the way for a lot of motherfuckers. I think his smoothness and humbleness makes people forget his impact and relevance in the music business. I need everyone who agrees, especially everybody for Money Earning Mount Vernon, to repost and share so we can have a proper televised tribute for his achievements and contributions to the game. Heavy D, R.I.P. Dwight Myers. Why do you think that Heavy D constantly gets overlooked? And I think even in our show the other day when we talked about underrated, underappreciated MCs, we didn't initially mention him until, someone in the chat did.
Fair. I mean, once again, Uh, I think there's some truth to what Pete Rock is saying. We're not part of this discussion because we actually have talked about Heavy D. You know,
Well, yeah, we're a platform with the people, so
right? We talk about Heavy D more than any other platform that I know of, like randomly. Like we have random Heavy D talks, like the whole Heavy D Kane being comparable dancer to Hammer talk the other day.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah. That was before this got posted. So we've been giving Heavy his props this year, and we've always spoken complimentary of him. There's something about the street ethos of hip hop, Mike, and although he's from Earn Mount Vernon, he never really tried to fit into that mold. Like, it was a conscious effort by Hev to make different records. Yeah. And even when you see the Peaceful Journey album and he stops cursing, the Don't Curse record, like, you got Kane and G Rap on there not cursing. So he's still a hip hop dude, and maybe is not given enough due because, one, he came up in an era with some very top notch lyricists when lyrics really, really mattered.
I think he was making better radio records than them, though.
And he was.
Yeah.
And I think he's been lauded and applauded for that, because I think what Pete Rock is forgetting is that, well, Hev, because he made those radio hit records, bossed up into music positions in the music business more than his contemporaries did. Like
KRS,
well
in Hollywood too.
Yes, like KRS-One and Rakim and Kane when becoming the head of no label or getting his own subsidiary label to start.
Yeah.
And so
shout out Soul for Real.
Right. And Monifa.
Yeah.
Right. And he had a good ear, like putting AZ on the I Miss You remix. Hev is ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot to do with Puff's origins, a lot to do with Big's origins because of that.
He put Puff on. He introduced Puff to Andre Harrell, for what I know.
Correct. Been told the same thing. Yeah. And so he is super important. This is Pete Rock's cousin, big cousin too. This is big cousin too. So probably how I feel about Six is probably how he feels about Hev, and he's probably taking it personally.
Yes, he should.
He has a right to, actually, this time. I know a lot of the time lately it seems like he's been saying things and we question the veracity and the place that it's coming from. But this is one of those things where I think he's right, and Heavy does deserve more love for his contributions to hip-hop as hip-hop turns 50. And I'll also say this to say, it's like, well, typically when you have these sort of issues, you need to clean up your yard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear nobody from New York really talking about Andre the way we talk about Andre. They ain't from here.
Yeah.
So if Pete Rock's not happy with the coverage that Heavy D is getting or not getting, maybe he need to be addressing these motherfuckers he's had relationships with in New York the last 30 years.
Huh.
How about that? How about you do that for Big Cuz? Because if Six got an issue out here, you're going to see me. Fuck all that talking shit.
LP with the super chat says Big got a lot of his style from Heavy D. Okay.
And Big has said that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's Puff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's
Puff
obvious.
carried over Uptown to Bad Boy. Like, I think that to a certain degree, and I know people might kill me in the chat because everybody's on the Big stuff, and rightfully so. He's great. But I think that Puff saw how Heavy was able to work over Uptown. His answer to Heavy on his own label was Big. He wasn't able to take Mary with him. Here's Faith Evans. Can't take Jodeci with me. Let me get 112. So that, I mean, it is what it is. And Hev is the blueprint for Big from an image standpoint. Even giving Puff the confidence to know that a big guy like that could even work and you can make him suave. Maybe Big would have ended up dancing at some point too. Who knows? But
the Hypnotized video, you never know. Had he not been in the Cane? Remember the little dance move? Yeah. I could see Big doing a little
he might have been dancing in the More Money, More Problems video. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Mace ended up picking it up. So, hey.
Dancing in the video.
Exactly. But what I was going to say, though, there's two things here with the Heavy thing. Well, I do want to say that Heavy actually is the only MC, I think, that actually had a verse on a Michael Jackson song, single in Jam, and a verse on a Janet Jackson single with All Right. Yeah, he's on there. That shows you how big this dude was.
Hev is important.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like take that up. Like, how about this? When we talk about Big Boy not getting played on the radio, We don't sit up there and be like, man, Big Boy ain't getting no love in New York. We be like, what the fuck is wrong with these niggas in Atlanta not playing Big Boy? So what Pete Rock really need to stop doing is generalizing the statement and direct it at the people that it's really meant for. And
Well, I want to talk about New York.
And that's his own tribe. This is your own tribe's failure, nobody else's, because Heavy may not get that everywhere, but he definitely should be getting that up top right now.
Well, I want to talk about New York. I think that people who are from Mount Vernon and people who are from Staten Island and even Long Island get treated like second-class citizens. This is from...
Unless you're Rakim.
This is from an out-of-towner, right? You know what I mean? That's what it appears to be, right? What we're seeing from Atlanta and looking at New York, it feels like the people that are in Long Island, like you said, with the exception of Rakim. But you know what? Sometimes not even with the exception of Rakim, because I see people getting on radio stations. They ask them their top New York rappers. Rakim's name don't be coming up. And I feel like, you know, sometimes people in Long Island, Staten Island, and people up in Mount Vernon and even Yonkers get treated like second-class citizens in New York. And I think that Hev is catching a little bit of this as well. We always talk about how the Source didn't rate any Wu-Tang effort a 5 mic. That's crazy. Crazy. They refuse to rate Wu-Tang Forever.
It's a travesty of the highest order.
Yeah. So they can't tell me that type of stuff doesn't happen. If you're not from Brooklyn, the Bronx,
Queens or
Harlem, you don't count. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it looks like. And I think that Hev has kind of become a part of that as well. And so I think that's a part of it. And I also think the fact that he was a positive MC.
They 4-mic'd the shit out of Wu-Tang. Mm-hmm. Think about this. Tikal and Liquid Swords have the same mic rating according to the Source.
Mm-hmm.
Who in the hell thinks that?
36 Chambers, 4.5.
Purple Tape, 4.5.
Yeah. What was Iron Man, 4?
4. Told you they 4'd them. Return to the 36 Chambers, 4. It just kept 4.
Wu-Tang Forever? Oh, yeah, we're not going to rate
We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that because we've been pissing on them for too long. We can't piss again.
Yeah. Look, maybe they ran out of material. We'll wait till they run out of material.
Hold on. What they were hoping was that Wu-Tang Forever was going to be better than all of those projects and they could give it 5 and get their credibility back. And then Wu-Tang Forever wasn't that and credibility was shot.
And then they gave Supreme Clientele 4.5.
They just hid like some bitches, though, Mike. I'm sorry. Like there's no other way of putting that. Like, they didn't rate Wu-Tang Forever. Yeah. It's like the biggest sucker move I've ever seen a rap publication do. It's literally them being shook and saying, no, we're too shook to even rate this album.
And the balls of Hot 97 to even ban a group that is that important to New York City and to hip-hop in general, like Wu-Tang. Like, to even have the balls to do that, that's some Staten Island bias.
I'm about to say, well, you know, they got to catch the ferry to get here. So
exactly. Right. Esquire with the super chat says, I'm trying to reconcile the inconsistencies in the criteria. For example, Snoop has very few pro-black records, but he's above Common on your list. Do we really have to break down all the things that Snoop does better than Common, though? I mean, do we really got to do that? Do you think, Esquire, that Common stands a chance in a versus with Snoop? Do you really think that? You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully you don't think that the difference between Cube and Big is the same as the difference between Snoop and Common. Come on, man.
Dude.
Come on, Esquire. You're reaching now. You're reaching now, Esquire. We love you. We appreciate the super chats. Keep them coming, man. But you're reaching on that one. Common and Snoop, is that where we're at?
I want to read that again.
Jay Short with the super chat says, tell any of my aunties Heavy D is in the top 10. They'll make you a to-go plate. I feel that, my nigga. Zuri with the super chat, showing love, $20 super chat. He says, I said, while y'all may not like Hit 'Em Up, most people will say that it's a top diss. It's mostly pop. Samples the song of the folks that he's dissing, direct, memorable, and quotable. Plus, song still gets radio club play and outside play.
It's not good.
I'm not totally where Coop is.
It's not a good song. I'm sorry. I'm tired of giving it a hall pass. The record not good.
Why don't you? I think you don't like the tone.
Because he has like 30 or 40 songs better That's why the record not good.
Let's
Because you can literally go through almost every album that this man ever made, with the exception of the first one, and not just find a song or two better, but like most of the albums, like half the damn album is better than this song. Like, where would this song go against the songs on Me Against the World? Every song on Me Against the World is better than this record. Every song on All Eyes on Me Book 1 is better than this record. Half of All Eyes on Me Book 2 is better than this record. About 80% of Machiavelli is better than this record. Are you serious? This record is not like that. And this is what I mean. This ain't about nothing about the tone. I love Bomb First. Bomb First is the shit. That's a great record.
Okay.
Hit 'Em Up ain't a great record.
What diss records would you put ahead of Hit 'Em Up?
Mike, we can go on for days and days. The Bitch and You, Drop a Gem on Them, the Kiss the Game Goodbye freestyle that Beans did, Back to Back, Ether, Take Over, No Vaseline, The Bridge is Over, 10% Diss. Wow. Shit, Pimp Slap by Snoop Dogg on Suge is better than Hit 'Em Up.
You just don't like Hit 'Em Up at all.
It's not a good song. Stop acting like that song is good.
My gripes with Hit 'Em Up is the fact that Pac didn't take on the song himself. That's my biggest gripe with it. The beat's cool.
Think about it. He took Big's hook.
Yeah. Everything's somewhat recycled in that song,
What
right?
about that speaks to Pac?
Yeah.
Where? How? Niggas love some bullshit, I swear.
I don't think it's a top 5. All things considered, I'd say it's a top 15. I don't think it's better than Checkmate.
The Tupac diss, Drop a Gem on Them, is better than Hit 'Em Up. That's a real diss record with a real beat.
Do people think that Hit 'Em Up is better than Checkmate from Jada? When Jada was going at 50. No, I don't. It can't be.
Can't be.
The nigga went crazy on there. Yeah. I mean, are you saying that saying the Outlaws bar work was better than Jada's?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, you understand that part of what makes the battles great is the stuff that the MCs say that dilapidate and debilitate the other MC. You really wasn't saying nothing on that record like that,
First
Mike.
off, fuck your bitch in the click you claim.
West side, when we ride, come quick, we gang. You came to be a player, but you fucked your wife. Bust on bad boy, niggas fuck for life. The weak hearts I ripped. Junior Mafia into some punk ass bitch. Like
yeah. And then it's pretty much over at that point.
Like no more pain. No more pain's a more viable diss record than that, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could call that a diss.
I think what people love about Hit 'Em Up is how direct it is. I think the rant really does a lot for the song too at the end. I know when I was a kid, when we used to tape it off of the radio, I remember like being entertained by the radio trying to block out all the shit he was saying at the end. But yeah, I mean, no disrespect to the Outlaws, but in a diss record, I'd rather just hear the artist.
The song not good, Mike.
Peter Parks with the super chat says, as a New Yorker, I agree with Mike. We always throw Staten Island, Mount Vernon under the bus. It's definitely biased. I agree. And I think that's what Hev's getting. Hev's getting a lot of that. And I also feel like Hev being a positive MC. I think
it's the positivity more than it is even the Mount Vernon thing.
When you think about it, man, not to cut you off, but the people who had to get pushed, I don't want to say had to get pushed, but had success in Hollywood from the rap game, they were positive MCs like Will Smith, right? Queen Latifah, right? Even Ice Cube to a degree, LL Cool J. And Heavy D was right along with that. And I think that being positive enough for television in the early 90s was the total opposite of being marketable in rap music. You know what I mean? And I think that the positivity of Hev and the fact that he was not problematic, he wasn't cursing, he wasn't, invoking violence or anything like that, they push him to the back of the line like it never happened.
I mean, it's kind of funny. I think, he kind of transitioned too. That's what I mean, is that, well, he did kind of get into the whole, like, Hev didn't make a whole bunch of material either. Like, what, Hev got 3 albums? He got 3 albums, right?
Heavy D and the Boys got 3. I think he started doing solo stuff, probably had 2 after that or something like that. Because, stuff like You Can Be My, like Black Coffee and all that stuff, that was Heavy D solo.
Coffee.
Yeah, I love that record too.
Love some Black Coffee.
Look up his catalog real quick. Godfather with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, yo, Can you ask one more thing? Can we stop saying this question? Why do everyone downplay Nas, but he battles the best with the best of the best, and he's still standing? And can we stop saying that he signed to Jay? Him and Jay, it was a partnership. We're gonna talk about Nas in a minute because
Mike, Heavy D and the boys got 5 albums.
Okay.
And he's got 4 solos.
He got 4 solo. Okay, so even more than what we thought.
So he got bar work.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to talk about Nas in a second because Coop brought something to my attention. Rigger49er with the super chat says, Against All Odds was better than Hit 'Em Up. Okay, we got some people that agree with you on that.
So, no, like Machiavelli, the album, Bomb First, Crazy, To Live and Die in L.A., Toss It Up, White Man's World, Me and My Girlfriend, Against All Odds. Like, no, all of those songs are better than this record. You don't want me to go through All Eyes on Me or Me Against the World. Literally, all of the songs on Me Against the World. All of the songs on Book One.
We got an assignment for you, Coop. I'm going to need you to rank some Pac songs that are better than Hit 'Em Up.
I'm going to give – how about this? How about if I do my top 50 Tupac songs?
Oh, that'd be great. Zuri with the super chat
top
says –
50 Tupac songs.
That's not a good reason to not like it.
Hit 'Em Up at 43.
It said Hit 'Em Up is a top 10 to 15 Pac records. Stop, Coop.
Shit is whack.
36 Chambers with a $20 super chat showing love. He says, Hit 'Em Up was impactful, Coop. I was 14 in 2006, and my whole era still played that song a decade plus after the release. It's like that, and it has endured. Impact alone holds it up. There's even if it isn't better,
what
y'all
impact?
bugging.
What
okay,
impact
let me
are you
ask
talking
you this.
about?
But what do you think about, why do you think that it has that level of impact?
Listen to what I'm saying. This is what I mean about how childish and immature people are being. You heard it because it was the B-side to a big single that sold a lot of records. You wouldn't even heard it that much had it just gotten released the way other diss records got released around the time independently on their own. It came on a piggyback of How Do You Want It.
You don't think the streets was playing that, though? Because
Mike, I heard it from my mom's friend Kathy, who's a white woman who lived in Sandy Springs that loved How Do You Want It. When the B-side came on, I was like, what's this? She was like, oh, this is Hit 'Em Up. I was like, oh. So, yeah, that's how it happened. So when people are talking about the impact, it happened because How Do You Want It happened.
So you're saying the impact is based on how it was packaged?
Correct.
I think
great marketing.
I think the impact's based on who it was about.
Like I said, great marketing.
And I think that
but being on the B-side to How Do You Want It, name another diss record that has that type of marketing and packaging to reach the masses like that. And this is when Pac is the biggest artist in the game, and all of these singles are going platinum and the album's going multi-platinum.
I think 36 Chambers hears this in 2006 because of who it's about.
I think he hears it in 2006 because of the marketing and the packaging.
And their untimely demises, too.
Like, let me ask you something. You think Drop a Gem is a better diss record?
I do, yeah.
Why don't you hear it?
I don't know. Marketing.
Thank you.
Well, obviously, Pac's marketing is going to be different. But,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, that Interscope machine is insane. They got the best.
Right.
And they got the best machine in the game.
When you work for the Corleone family, Mike, get certain amenities. Get certain amenities when you work for the Corleone family.
I'm going to say something real controversial. I think that Jimmy Iovine is probably the greatest hip-hop executive of all time.
It's not even arguable.
It's
not even an argument.
I mean, Pac, he signed Pac straight up.
You can go Pac and Dre and stop.
Dre?
You can stop right there, Mike.
Snoop.
You can stop.
Eminem.
50.
50. You
can stop.
Game.
You can stop.
Kendrick.
You can stop, Mike. I think could have stopped that Pac and Dre.
Yeah, I think it's the best hip hop executive of all time.
Don't know other hip hop executive got a top 3 producer and a top 3 MC.
LP with the super chat says on Impact, it's a 1-3 song as a song. It's not top 5. Oh, he says it's top 3. So on Impact, it's top 3, not top 5.
What did it impact? That's what I'm saying.
Zuri with the super chat says, kids today recite Hit 'Em Up. It's the memorability, if that's a word. It's a very memorable record. You're not getting off of this. You think that Hit 'Em Up's not top 15 diss record.
It's not even close. It's the only song that even got packaged to that. It's an unfair advantage.
What makes a great diss record?
It got packaged as a B-side on How Do You Want It. That is how it got delivered to the masses to deliver this impact. What part of that are people missing? All these other diss records, listen, all these other diss records had impact because they were great diss records, not because of how they were packaged. It was packaged well. Shout out to Interscope and the Corleone family. I hope I don't wake up with a horse's head in my bed or some shit. But the shit is whack. I'm sorry. Like, somebody just need to finally come out and say
Hit 'Em Up is whack?
it's not a good record, Mike. It's a recycled hook. Mike, tell me.
Oh, the cops. See.
Tell me this and be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it rank in any of his bar work?
I mean,
where does it rank in any of his songwriting skills? Think about the things that make Tupac great and show me where that this is a reflection of his greatness.
I think those are good points.
I
think it's the tone, though. Like, I think that's why.
Oh, you like watching the nigga go crazy on another nigga. That's
well,
what's
I ain't
wrong
saying,
with niggas.
right.
I'm not saying you.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm saying fundamentally, inherently, people talking about the impact. It's like, oh, y'all love listening to another black man tear another black man apart, and y'all gonna continue to encourage. It had impact. We still say it. It's like, that don't mean you supposed to, stupid ass nigga.
Esquire with the super chat says nuance is key here. Coop cited
there ain't no damn nuance to the song.
I don't know if he's still talking about that.
I'm about to say,
this is Esquire. He says Coop cited social commentary as the sole separating factor between Cube and Big, which is why I use Common and Snoop analogy. No wrong answer here, but I know cherry picking when I see it.
I mean, first of all, Common was an alcoholic on his first 2 albums, so stop making it seem like he was conscious all the time. All right. Feel what I'm saying? No. Common talking like a nigga on his first 2 albums, Esquire.
Yeah,
maybe you should go listen.
He has a brew in his hand.
Right. Maybe you should listen to Can I Borrow $1 in Resurrection to understand this conscious, quote-unquote, Common you talk about don't really start popping up to about 97, but he been around since 91.
Didn't he have like a 40 in his hand or something?
On the cover of the album.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
MC with the super chat says, Nail in the Coffin by Eminem, Mike D. No, you know what? Nail in the Coffin's cool. I'm more of a fan of the sauce.
Dollars and Cents is better than Hit 'Em Up by DJ Quick.
I think so, too.
Yeah, there's literally tons of diss records. How about this? I can name 20 diss songs better than Hit 'Em Up, and I can name at least 40 Tupac songs better than Hit 'Em Up. Like, at least. It's not even that hard.
The sauce starts off like, coming up, and never matter what color you was. If you could spit, then you could spit. That's it. That's what it was back when. Motherfuckers are straight backpacking, ciphering, fighting for life, and it's rapping. Yeah. Eminem killed the sauce.
Shit, Piggy Bank better than Hit 'Em Up, Mike.
I never liked Piggy Bank.
Me
I
neither.
I don't think Piggy Bank's better than Hit 'Em Up. I think Back Down is.
Back Down? That's not even a question.
Esquire with the super chat says,
it's a body.
Does Cube beat Big in a versus objectively? Now, I think he could. We talking about everything? Think he could.
It would be hard, but this is what I mean. The content that Cube provides can be very Chuck D-ish in terms of how it makes the other person look.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's like, this nigga ain't talking about shit. Like,
what's the better song? Good Day or One More Chance remix?
I think it's the One More Chance remix, but I wouldn't play those records next to each other.
Yeah.
Like, I would probably play like Bop Gun or something like that next to One More Chance.
Cube has a much better chance against Big than Common has against Snoop in a versus if we want to go there.
I mean, I love Common, but it's like when people acting like he's like this righteous brother, it's like.
Rigger 49er with the super chat says, you got to remember, Hit 'Em Up came after Pac got shot. Who shot you and all them other dudes side dissing.
Like, hey, ain't this the guy that starts off like Water for Chocolate, talking about he got his eyes on the thighs of Mary J. Blige, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that how the album start off like?
It don't start off like that. That's like in the middle.
Okay.
Thinking about how good the cat must be. Stop eating meat, but I still rap husky. Yeah.
Yeah, really righteous, Mike. You get what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that's that pro-black rhetoric. I mean, what pro-black rhetoric does Common really spit?
Like, think song about for Asada, but yeah.
That's what I mean. But like, no. Go look at his catalog. Mm-hmm. What pro-black rhetoric is he really spitting, though? He might have a beautiful, conscious, and awoken stream of thought in terms of how he delivers it, but he don't really make pro-black rap songs, and niggas need to stop acting like he do.
This is what I take from Common.
The Light's not a pro-black song. That's a love song. 6 Cents? Corner? Is The Corner pro-black?
No, that's kind of when he had to change course. What I think from Common, I think Common's whole approach is more of like a I have a dream type approach.
Very much so.
And that's why, and he actually made a song with Will.i.am called I Have a Dream.
Song's not
using
good
that
either.
Speech and stuff.
It's better than Hit 'Em Up, but that's not good enough.
But no, it's not better than Hit 'Em Up.
They're both bad songs, so it really doesn't matter.
But what I was gonna say, man, it's like that was my gripe with Common's most recent effort, because I could take that whole I have a dream talk before you get a level of notoriety and get in position where you're actually able to execute on some of these things you talk about. And kind of like what you were saying with the Kendrick thing, it's hard to hear Common speak from a position like he used to in the 90s, when now we know you have access to the White House. We know you're out here campaigning with politicians, helping them get in. You have relationships with people who can actually change things now. But now the music is still, wouldn't it be great if this and this?
Okay.
And it's like,
okay, listen. This
nigga,
is
make the change.
This is what I mean. And Esquire, this is Esquire, this is for you, brother. Listen to this. This is what I mean. Guess what? You want to know what Common is? He's insightful, just like Jay is. It's just the rhetoric is different. So peep game. So you talk about what you know and what you go through. It's just some people like to label things a certain way. So Common's first single on One Day It'll All Make Sense is the joint with Lauryn Hill, where they take the Stevie Wonder hook, retrospect for life.
Yep.
He talks about him and the impending baby mother potentially getting an abortion, saying $315 ain't worth your soul. $315 ain't worth it. But they're talking about what they would do if they have this child together. Now, him being insightful about potentially getting an abortion makes people think that he woke and conscious, when the reality of the matter is that niggas go through that shit every day. Just like niggas is out here hustling every day. So why is it not okay for Jay to talk about the insightfulness of hustling and get labeled a certain way, but Common gets labeled righteous for talking about abortion? It's like you talking the way other niggas talk when they get caught up in this. You just happen to be a poet. That don't make you fucking righteous.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Right. So when people be acting like Common all woke and stuff, it's like, no, that's a song about abortion. That's a topic matter he chose to explore based on what he was going through. Jay chose to do Friend or Foe because niggas was pulling up on his blog.
That's his life. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, Hit 'Em Up has 500 million streams on YouTube alone. Those modern numbers aren't influenced by being a B-side on a single 25 years ago. How do you
Yes, it is. It's the direct correlation of it, actually.
How Do You Want It doesn't even have those numbers now. Longevity counts.
No, people like the beef more than they like the love, and that's really all that proves. That's why I say they like to see niggas fight more than they like to see niggas together. That's all that's about. It's like no different. And shame on people that try to encourage the record and make it seem like it's some sort of dope record, because even when you sit it next to other classic diss records, it does not hold up. That's why I'm telling you the song is not good. You can't play it next to No Vaseline and tell me that it's good, Mike. Think about that. Go play No Vaseline and go play Hit 'Em Up and tell me that it's a top 5 diss record. Go play Ether and then play Hit 'Em Up and tell me it's a top 5 diss record. You'd be like, no, these are two different worlds.
I mean, I told you, I think Checkmate.
The Takeover. Go listen to Mike. The Takeover.
Yeah, The Takeover is a much better record.
Nigga, you ain't live it. You witnessed from your folks' pad, scribbled in your notepad, and created your life. I showed you your first tech on tour with Large Professor. Then I heard that album about the tech on your dress. No, that's way better than Hit 'Em Up. It's very, very problematic.
I see where you're coming from.
Like, you can understand how there's levels to this, and Tupac's not hitting that diss level. I'm sorry.
Jay Short with the super chat says, people talk about Nas beats, but just had a revelation listening to Life After Death yesterday. Outside of the singles, what are the classic beats on Life After Death?
I'll tell you what, man. I love the beat to The World Is Filled. I think that's a brilliant beat. You're nobody till somebody kills you.
I love that beat too. I think I Got a Story to Tell.
I Got a Story to Tell. 10 Crack Commandments. I love the Dough beat. The What's Beef beat. I love the What's Beef beat.
Yeah, me too.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Check out.
I think that's actually one of the stronger points of Life After Death.
I think it's one of the top 5 songs on Life After Death. That's what I mean. Like, how can you listen to what I'm saying? Like, think about what.
Cool. We might need to get some of these super chats. This thing keeps jumping away from me because it's like I'll have them there and then it's gone. Yeah, let's see what the last ones we did.
No, it's been jumping on me too.
It's been this is YouTube messing with us, man. I might have to get.
Did you get Zuri's?
I didn't. Okay,
Zuri Frazier with the $4.99 super chat said, y'all rate Dre Day high, and that song is mostly about people getting prison raped. Hold on, but it's better than Hit 'Em Up. It's a great
Dre
fucking
Day's
record.
Better than
think about this.
Now Dre Day is much better than Hit 'Em Up. You're right.
Dre Day starts off the Chronic.
Yeah.
How can you put that in the same stratosphere with something that's on the B side to How Do You Want It? Do you feel what I'm saying?
No, you're right about that. Dre Day's a much better record than
We don't even talk about Dre Day as a top 5 diss record, though. So how is Hit 'Em Up, Mike?
You're right.
Niggas ain't be making sense. Like, because here's the problem. admitting that you like hit 'em up is actually admitting that like your taste ain't like that too. That's what I'm trying to say is it's like, no, y'all niggas taste ain't like that if you think hit 'em up is that dope. Cause it's not. And you can't sit it next to other great diss records. Mike, go play Dre Day and then go play Hit 'em Up.
You're right.
This is a fucking joke, Mike.
KC,
and you never hear me talk about Pac or Pac's records like this. That record's not good. That's why I never liked it, because y'all niggas notarize a bad record. Need to get some better ears.
KC1 with the super chat says, y'all didn't mention Alchemist last episode. No producer has been doing it as long as him and as good. We'll talk about that in a second. Rigger Robert, the super chat says, what are y'all talking about? Pac got shot. That's where the anger came from. How would you feel? It was a war on the track, not a diss. It was war on the track, not a diss record. No, we've even spoken about that on this show. It's not even about that. It's about the actual song.
I just said Bomb First is better. I just said No More Pain is better. I'm not talking about the rhetoric. Is he not talking about Big and Puff on No More Pain? Yeah. He literally at the dancers.
But it's not as direct though.
Mike, he's saying dancers turn CEOs. How much more direct?
Leroy Green with the super chat.
Who we talking about, Mike? Who we talking about on No More Pain?
I don't know.
Now my adversaries blast on sight and fuck your boyfriend, bitch. I want some ass tonight. You know my Stilo, Alizé, and Cristal. We show you for. Plus all you niggas is jealous. Pull your gun out and blast. I dare you niggas. Who we talking about, Mike?
Yeah.
I love that record. That might be the best record on All Eyes on Me. So it's not about the content. It's about the execution. It's about the beat. It's about the hook.
Jay Short with the super chat says, Life After Death is top 10, but which one of those beats is a top 100 all time? Those are the same type of beats that Nas uses. People are biased towards Biggie.
I'll tell you what. Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
I always thought Niggas Bleed was overrated as a beat. I never loved the beat that Niggas Bleed
Me
like
either.
that.
You know what? I'm about to get the laptop so I can get these missing super chats because I think this thing is acting crazy. But yeah, hold on 1 second. Holla at the people.
Right. Did you get the rig? No, you got the rig. Jay Short with the $4.99 super chat. People talk about, oh, no, you just said that. Okay, hold on. Okay, 36 Chambers again with the $4.99. I see 36 is on one today. Why are we stacking diss songs against standard tracks? The barometer for what makes them good is different. Of course, Pac's catalog music is better. No. See, what I'm saying is a lot of these guys, some of their best songs are their diss records. No Vaseline is one of the best songs on Death Certificate. Ether's one of the best songs on Stillmatic. The Takeover is one of the best songs on The Blueprint.
But that's your premise.
Drop a Gem on them is one of the best songs on Hell on Earth. Dre Day is one of the best songs on The Chronic. But this is what I'm saying. Even if you just drop it arbitrarily, if it's that great, it'll fly, like Back to Back or The Bitch in You. You feel me? It don't even have to be connected to an album for it to fly.
I do think Back to Back is actually a more impressive record.
'Cause it is.
Let's do a little segment real quick and just go through these super chats since I got them right here.
Yeah. Go ahead and pull up the supers.
Let's see, because I want to put some respect on people's money, man. I don't want to miss that. Okay. I think this is where we at. All right, so we got Hit 'em Up had a music video and was originally banned on radio. It's being a B-side is irrelevant. It was hot outside. Come on.
How can you say that? Like, how about this?
I remember seeing it on American Rap Makers here in Atlanta.
Why didn't he just hold on? If the record that strong and this is Pac and Pac in his peak, why didn't they just drop it by itself?
It was in between albums? No.
How Do You Want It? This is the B-side to How Do You Want It? This is All Eyes on Me. And people forget he didn't live too much longer after this record.
No.
And it's not how I want to remember him, and neither should anybody else. And they need to stop acting like this is something that she should be remembered and notarized for too. This ain't how I want to remember Tupac. That's what I'm saying. Like, shame on you people trying to like take up for the record. There's nothing inherently good about the record, fundamentally, musically, or the projection of it. It's all bad.
I think the night that I saw the video for the first time on American Rap Makers, Arnell Starr, you know, if you're from Atlanta, you know who that is. He was announcing or reporting rather, while he was playing the video that Pac had gotten shot. So I feel like it came out around that same time.
That's what I'm saying. No,
Yeah.
Mike. He didn't live too much longer after this. And that's part of why it took off too. He didn't live much longer after this. And there was, listen to what I'm trying to say. And shortly after he died, there's this single that has this song as the B-side to it that is still available for sales in stores.
Yeah.
That also, so not only is the album hot, the record hot, but now he's dead. This is official collector's item material. Because how many diss records are on the B side to a smash single like How Do You Want It? Collector's item stuff too, Mike. People not using their fucking head. Shame on y'all.
Andrew Williams with the super chat says, most people that think Hit 'Em Up is a top Pac song are probably ignorant. Just being real. Zuri with the super chat says, y'all rate Dre Day high, and the song is mostly about people getting prison rape. We saw that one. Andrew Williams with the super chat says, Nas is the GOAT. Just wanted to say that. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, unfortunately, Heavy D, Kid and Play, Fresh Prince, Chubb Rock, Rob Bass, etc. are all grouped as fun, corny rap. Street records were most marketable or more marketable. Rigger 49er says, oh shit, I forgot No Vaseline got that too.
I don't think that it's the marketability part about it. I think it's lyricists were encouraged around that time.
Okay.
So if you like, how about this? The difference between Hev and Kane in terms of how people viewed him was Kane's mic skills.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like plain and simple, because very much had similar motion. You know what I'm saying?
I think the Mount Vernon thing too, because I think if Hev's from Harlem or something, it's different.
I mean, I feel you. That's like it's harder for somebody quote unquote who's like from Marietta or Gwinnett to make it than somebody who's like from one of the zones in Atlanta. That's, I think, what makes one of the Migos have struggled with that down here. They're not technically from one of the zones.
Yeah, but they always represented that. You know, they really are like the equivalent of where Migos are from. It's kind of like Mount Vernon in New York.
Yeah,
up
it
top.
is. 85 North.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rigger 49er with the super chat says, Cube washed Big in the verses. He said Cube washes Big in the verses.
Not washes.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, it would be ain't
no washing Big in the verses.
Yeah, Jay Short with the super chat says, people talk about Nas beats, but just had a revelation. Okay, we got that one. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, why are we stacking diss songs against standard tracks? The barometer for what makes them good or different. Of course, Pac's catalog of music is better. KC1 with the super chat says, y'all didn't mention Alchemist. We got to that one. Rigger 49er says, what are y'all talking about? Pac got shot. We got to that one. Leroy Green says, Mike, look at the writing credits for Jail by Kanye. You see our friend there? That's who has the best diss track. Talking about Push? I don't know who he's referring to.
Infrared's better than Hit 'Em Up.
You think Infrared's better than Hit 'Em Up?
There ain't no thinking about it.
Jay Short with the super chat says, the life after death comment. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Common feels like spoken word with a mixed bag of content. Like more than rap. Perhaps it's his tone and delivery that gives many of us that feeling.
See, this is what I mean. On the same album, on One Day It All Makes Sense, he got Stolen Moments Part 1, 2, and 3 with, I think it's Trugoy, Black Thought, and Q-Tip. And he's talking about his house getting broken into. That don't make him conscious. That mean that nigga live in Chicago and got his shit broke into, Mike. That's hood talk.
Well, he did do the big payback too with, you know what I'm saying, like Water for Chocolate. We was talking about they took his grandma's pendant.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That ain't being woke, Mike. That's hood shit that happens in Chicago. You from Chicago. Niggas out here robbing and killing.
Zuri with the super chat says, Hit 'Em Up was June. Pac died in September. He performed it live, and people in the crowd loved it.
They loved everything Pac performed. That ain't saying nothing. Mike, imagine going to see somebody, you be like, no, I don't like that. That ain't what you do at a show.
OG Winston with the super chat says, Real Motherfucking G's is a top 10 diss record.
Real Motherfucking G's is better. Yes.
You think that's better?
Mike, we have named so many diss records better than this diss record. I'm sorry. I love Pac, but this ain't it.
I think I'm caught up. I think I'm caught up. And if I have an issue again, then I'll, get back to this. Let's see. I see another one. Rigger 49er. Cube got a better catalog?
I'm about to drop a gem.
I think we got everybody. Okay, so are you going to sit here and do a list of the records that are better?
No, Vaseline.
The Hit 'Em Up.
Back to back is better. Niggas don't know what the fuck they talking about today. Back to back is better.
You ready to talk about this?
Talk about anything while I'm
Breakfast
this
Club,
list.
Charlamagne
It don't take long to make this list, Mike, because there's so many diss records better. Can do this all day. For real, shit is whack.
Well, let's talk about real quick. While you're doing that, or before you do that, you were telling me that the Breakfast Club was naming like the top storytelling MCs, and Charlamagne named his top storytelling MCs, and he named Black Rob and didn't even, mention, Nas in that. I think what he said. Cube.
Scarface, Ghostface.
Ghostface.
Slick
I think
Rick.
he said Big.
Slick Rick.
I think he said Slick Rick, and he said Black Rob.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I came across this post where somebody was mentioning like all of the storytelling records that Nas has.
Yeah, I want to hear.
And so
did they do it
it's
in
35
order?
songs.
Did they do it like in order?
No, they just named like some storytelling Nas songs.
They might not have caught them all.
They might not have, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about this.
Okay.
So they got I Gave You Power.
Yes.
Rewind.
Yes.
Undying Love.
Yes.
Fetus.
Yes.
New York State of Mind.
Yes.
One Love.
Yes.
Get Down.
Yes.
Shootouts.
Yes.
Daughters.
Yes.
Sudoku Story.
That's one of the ones that I thought they might have. Sekou Story. I thought they might have forgot
Sekou
that
Story.
one. Yep.
Papa Was a Player.
There's a story too.
Phone Tap.
Damn right.
Live Now.
It is.
Blue Benz.
It is.
Second Childhood. Small World.
Yeah.
Last Words.
Small World might be his most underrated story. Keep going.
It's one of them. Last Words.
Yeah.
Queen's Story.
Yeah.
Blaze of 50.
No, I feel about Blaze.
Purple.
Shit's crazy.
Book of Rhymes.
Yeah.
Last Real Nigga Alive.
Yeah.
Body in the Trunk.
Huh. Know how I feel about Body in the Trunk.
Shoot 'em Up.
Yeah.
The Setup. Project Roach. Car 85.
Okay, they got Car 85. Yeah.
Project Windows.
Yeah.
Beef.
Yeah.
You're going to love this one. Death Row East.
Because it's a story, Mike. You know, at the height of the beef, they started
Surviving the Times.
Yeah.
The Message, second verse. Getting Married. World's an Addiction. Everything on Nasir. That's 35 songs. Now let me ask Charlamagne.
Cop Shot the Kid is a story.
It's a story too? Okay. Let me ask the people out there, and let me ask Charlamagne the God. How many MCs can you name with 35 storytelling records?
I don't think there is one.
I don't think there is one.
Yeah.
And I've been very adamant about the fact that I think Scarface is the best storyteller ever in hip hop, either him or Ghost. And I got Nas in my 3. But this is tough to refute. And you know what? It's like when you have this much work and then you have stories like Rewind and I Gave You Power, it's like he's the best storytelling MC of all time. I can't fight that. I just got to be objective.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean,
too much evidence.
I mean, Represents kind of a story too, Mike.
How can you have?
Yeah. He's literally talking about how he walks through his projects in a day. Catch me walking with a bop and my hat turned back.
Love committing sins and my friends sell crack.
crack.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about a story having a beginning, middle, and end, he has so much to choose from that you even overlook that stuff.
It's ridiculous.
My question is,
Wanna Play Rough that didn't get released is a story too.
My question is, somebody who is on a hip hop radio station like a Power 105, how do you skip over somebody like Nas when it comes to
Black Girl Lost is a story.
Yeah, when it comes to storytelling. How do you leave out somebody like a Nas on New York radio?
It's ridiculous.
I'm sorry that we're getting on New York today, but I mean you gotta really uphold your legends.
No. They deserve it. The Mets suck. The Knicks are never gonna win anything. They'll be all right.
You gotta hold the right legends up. You know what I'm saying? Like Nas has done the work, and you're telling me that Power 105 can't even what? He's not a top 5 storyteller in this genre?
The third verse to Watch Them Niggas is a story, Mike.
Yeah.
He's got so many stories.
No one has 30 plus stories.
I'm giving you more.
I
like
would
off the top of
challenge.
my head.
Yeah, I mean, we got 35 here, and it's probably more. I would challenge anyone to find 25 stories from your best storytelling MC.
I think Face got that.
Face would have 25.
Face would have 25. I think Nas has about 40
Ghost
to 45.
may have 25,
Yeah.
counting the Wu-Tang stuff and all of that.
You would have to count stuff like Impossible for Ghost, I think, for him to get there. But trying to think, what are some other stories that he had? New York State of Mind Part 2, Mike.
Yeah. I'm at the gambling spot. My hands on it. Yeah.
Had 8 partners growing up. 8 turned to 7. 7 turned to 6 niggas. Got 2 in heaven. Yeah, that's a story, Mike.
Yeah. Money went OT. Yeah. And that's not even on the list.
That's what I mean. He's got.
It's insane.
It's insane how many stories. We Will Survive is a story, Mike.
It is.
That's what I mean.
Best MC of all time.
He's, like Mike, and the storytelling part of it is like one of the things where he kind of like.
The storytelling part of it is like Michael Jordan on the defensive end.
It's the
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we're not even thinking about that part of it. But if this nigga didn't even averaged 30-something a game. He's one of the best defenders ever.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of
From that position, I think he is the best defender ever.
No. He's the best defensive two guard ever. Him or Wade. I'm trying to think. There's stuff on the Nigger album that's like stories too. Like Y'all My Niggas is a story.
Mm-hmm.
Fried Chicken's kind of a story too, Mike.
It is.
That's what I mean. Is like his story game. It's like it's.
Zuri with the super chat says, hot take, if Biggie doesn't die, life after death gets more criticism, similar to It Was Written. I
Fair.
can see that. Because they're going to be like, oh, man, it wasn't ready to die, man. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't grimy like that. We got Show 305 Time says, against all odds is better than Hit 'Em Up. Man, I think you're getting a lot of people to agree with you on this one. Andrew Williams with the super chat.
If you're going to make a diss record, make a diss record. Against All Odds is a dope diss record. Bomb First is a dope diss record.
Yeah.
Hit 'Em Up is not.
Andrew Williams with the super chat says, watch them is a story too. Yeah.
See, I just said that. See, I was going through some of the Rolodex in my head, and I'm like, man, dude got stories everywhere. It's hard to keep track of the stories. Locomotive is kind of a story. Off Life is Good. That's what I'm saying. Cherry Wine is kind of a story.
Yeah.
Bye Bye Baby.
Yeah.
Stories.
Rigger 49er with the super chat says Cube got more than 25 easy. Well, that makes Cube a better storyteller than Big. What do you think about that conversation? Because that was really where Yayo's conversation went. Where
because he brought up Niggas Bleed. Today's agenda got the suitcase up in the Central. Now, Good Day's better than Niggas Bleed.
Well, like Cube said, I mean, we talking about writing stories and raps because I mean, Cube's written movies, but whatever. But I guess that makes everything even more different.
Ooh, gang sign.
I mean, Cube's tooting his own horn as he should, because you know what? As we see, if you don't do that and let people know what your impact is, people will roll right over you and act like it never happened.
That's fair, Mike. You're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right. If you don't toot your own horn, I'm gonna tell you what, my 10th grade English teacher, Angela Brathwaite, used to tell me, if you don't toot your own horn, Armand, don't expect anybody else to either.
Kanye West.
Yeezy.
Always got to bring him up. Jay Short with the super chat says, they're not going to mention Nas on radio because then they're going to have to explain why they aren't playing anything from KD. It's a good point.
That's a very good point. It's a very astute observation.
And that kind of brings me back to something I said on a previous show. I feel like when KD came out, all of the platforms, or not platforms, the mainstream radio in New York, they were talking about him, interviewing him. I think he did an interview on Hot 97 on Ebro's show or whatnot. And I feel like they did that because they thought nothing was coming after it. And then when you got a KD 2, which was even better than KD, in my opinion, it was no talk.
They be quiet.
Yeah, and then when Magic came, I got real quiet. And then KD3 came, and ain't nobody's talking to him at all.
Crickets.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, Mike, again.
And they wonder why Wu-Tang and Nas was just overseas doing the big part of their tour, not the big part of the tour here.
Yeah.
Message.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, Mike, again, read the credits to Jail by Kanye and really look at the names till you recognize one. That is the greatest storyteller of all time. Greatest storyteller of all time has credit on Jail. I don't know who he's talking about. Unless it's Nas or something. I don't think Nas got credit on Jail, does he? Andre Shashir, I'm going to look it up, Leroy. I am. Andre Shashir with the super chat says, Drunk by Myself. Forgot about that one.
Oh, my God. It's over. It's over. Wrap it up.
He's the best storyteller of all time. It's not even a question. It's not even close.
It's not even a question.
And the one thing, or the two things that I had with Scarface and Ghost that I think had over Nas is the passion, the delivery, the inflection. But if we talk about being a detailed storyteller, nobody's more detailed than him, and clearly nobody has more stories than him.
Well, this is what I'm saying. When you talk about the passion, it's like, I think what you're talking about is, how about this? Ghostface and Scarface distort themselves vocally in the process of a story the way that Nas doesn't, and thereby makes them come off as more entertaining at times.
Right.
And I'll give you that. But that's why, Mike, that's why I love the setup so much. It's because it's no, he's amped. it ain't just Nas delivering the detailed story. That's why I like Blaze of 50. He's amped up. Blaze of
I love
50,
Blaze
sit
of
back
50.
in a drop top Azure Bentley. Of course, with me. This shit can make Bobby divorce with me. Brazilian candy from Miami. No, he's going in. Like, he doesn't rap like that. You know what I'm saying?
Tell me what she get
cake at. She's a part-time dancer, part-time romancer. Try to be a mother when she gets the chance to. Left her husband alone to raise a son. He's a Pampers. Model for a year, got a bachelor's degree, 33, undergoing plastic surgery. Went from 34B to 36 double D. No, his energy is there. That's why I like the setup. My mindset. Son got wet. I'm vexed, really. They snatched up his Rolex, smacked this bitch silly. While niggas acting ill, word to Willie, about to feel it. I feel it. Should have been dealt with it.
Okay, hold on. I want to respect Leroy Green's super chat.
I don't. The only thing jail about Kanye's album is what happened to the artist from having to record to him. That's jail.
Nah, I'm looking at the songwriters,
album
right?
It's not good.
It's Kanye West, Sean Carter, Jonathan Kirk, which is the baby, Brian Warner, Charles Napier, Michael Dean, Mark Williams.
Michael Dean, the greatest storyteller of all time?
Yeah.
Mike Dean?
You can't be talking about Sean.
Let me get back to this.
Where's the evidence?
I'm not doing this.
I just read off 35 fucking Nas stories.
And I just named another 15.
And so what I need to see in your next super chat, Leroy Green, you need to rattle off at least 20 Jay-Z storytelling records.
He doesn't have that.
Can you do that?
Okay, Mike, so I got
Born King with the super chat says, Street Dreams and the remix. Street Dreams is a story.
Good Lord.
Jesus, man.
$999,000 for being rich, but now I'm all for it. My man saw it like Dionne Warwick.
And see, those are loose stories. Like,
those aren't even the concentrated story efforts.
Exactly.
When he concentrates to make a story, you get I Gave You Power, Rewind, The Setup, Blaze of 50, Drunk by Myself. He's the best storyteller ever.
Because, I mean, you heard what Charlamagne said about Big. He was like, man, you know, sometimes Big be telling the story. You don't even know he's telling the story. But I'm like,
Nas.
Exactly. How many stories does Big have?
Pick the Mac. Nas came in the game telling the story. Pick the Mac up. Told brothers back up. The Mac flit. Lead was hitting niggas. One ran. I made him back. That's how his rap career starts off. Mike starts
Big's
off.
a great storyteller, or was a great storyteller. How many stories does he have?
About 5 or 6.
Zuri with the super chat.
Very problematic when we say it.
It's
like
less
that
than
too.
10.
How about this? And here's the thing about it too. That's not even fair to Slick Rick, so we can't even talk about it being fair to Nas or Ghostface or Scarface or Ice Cube.
I agree.
Because their storytelling, and you want to know what? I hate to say it, it's like much like might have to slide Big out of the top 5 all time and he's at number 6. Might have to slide him 6 on the storytelling list about that too, because just on the quality of output that 4 guys particularly have provided in Nas, Scarface, Ghostface, and Ice Cube, and then throwing Slick Rick into the equation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because think about it. Slick Rick got more stories on an album than Biggie has for a career, and so that career argument don't work with Slick Rick.
Yeah,
Slick Rick got your story output on one album.
Let's name the stories for the people in the audience.
Treat Her Like a Prostitute.
No, not those. Talking about Biggs.
Warning.
Okay.
I mean, do you think Things Done Change is a story?
No.
Okay.
Me and My Bitch.
Me and My Bitch, definitely. Those are the 2 on like Ready to Die.
No, that's another one. Give Me the Loot.
I guess that's a story.
Yeah.
So 3.
I think that's it. On Ready to Die.
No, Everyday Struggle.
That's a story?
I had a caravan with my man to Maryland to take over this project. Yeah. We took 2 texts. When he like to bust, he like to act who's
It's
next.
kind of a loose story, but okay, we could throw it in.
No, it's a story.
Okay.
It's a story. Like it's a story in the way that New York State of Mind Part 1 and 2
Right. We got to be fair.
Got to be fair. So that's 4.
I think that's 4. I think that's it for Ready to Die.
I believe so too.
Most of the stories come on Life After Death.
I mean, but the stories aren't like that on Life After Death. They're brief. Somebody's got to die as a story.
Okay.
Niggas bleed as a story.
All right.
I got a story to tell as a story.
Yep.
There are really no other stories on Life After. Look, Sky's the Limit.
Guess.
Sky's the Limit's kind of a story. So 8. So he'd be at 8.
Nobody that somebody kills you last verse.
That's real loose because the best. No, that's not a story. Because the first verse is really the epic part of the song, and there's nothing storytelling about that.
I got some little research and insight on this because I wrote an article back in the day of Big's top 10 storytelling songs. And I remember when I was looking for, how I was going to rank those, I was like, okay, well, I might need to get a little tricky because I think I put Juicy on there too because there is some storytelling in Juicy. And that could have been some of the stuff that Charlamagne was talking about.
Big and Nas be on that loose story shit, you know what I mean? Where they be talking and then all of a sudden they start telling a story. But Yayo kind of pitched it in a way that tried to make it like unique unto Big.
Right.
No.
And with that being said, I'm with you. I think that Slick Rick's storytelling output, I think would have to supersede that.
Well, he just talks in storytelling form naturally. Like the way
Right.
Slick Rick tells a story is like the way Jesus do parables almost. It's like, well, that's just natural.
Yeah.
Like he's just gifted at that because he can, like.
When he opens his mouth, you expect a story
Mike,
to come out.
I mean, like, not to be funny, but he literally made a story about anal sex and made it entertaining and made it sound good. I mean, it's like, it's just hard to do. You know what I'm saying?
Zuri with the super chat says, I think it would be cool if you guys went over the article where Big is rating the rappers in his era. Oh, okay, yeah, we could do that. It's interesting to look back on. Yeah, I mean, because he was really talking about Tretch and how dope Tretch was. I need to find that article. Zuri said in that article, Biggie ironically rates Cube low. This article was early 95. Leroy Green with the super chat says, and I don't mean Jay-Z, Mike. I don't know who you talking about then. You got to stop the riddles.
What, Kanye? Better not be Kanye.
Kanye's a decent storyteller.
He's all right.
MC with the super chat says, Nas is the best cinematic / vivid storyteller. Zuri said, it's in the same article that he rated Redman low and E40 a 0.
I don't remember that.
I remember people talking about that article, but I got to go find that. Leroy Green with the super chat says, Mike, no cap, I'm literally going to come out to ATL later this year and take you to this person only for you to realize that you already know him and he's been the best storyteller the whole time. I don't know what Leroy's talking about.
Leroy on one.
Humble brag, rise and fall / thugs calm down. Nas's verse is fire. Let's see. Jay Short with the super chat says people realize the entire Death Certificate album is a story, right? Yeah, I mean the whole entire Death Certificate album is a story.
Except for No Vaseline.
Right. Colorblind, everything.
Black Korea.
Even when we were listening to True to the Game, I'm like, this is kind of a story.
It is a story.
It's a cautionary tale. You know,
very cautionary tale about selling out.
Speaking of cautionary tale, young nigga doing dumb shit, which is on Death Certificate. I love that record.
That's what I mean.
That's one of those underrated records.
That's what I mean. Doing dumb shit's on Death Certificate.
That shit is dope. That's one of those songs, if it's on another album, it's a highlight.
It's just another great song called Death Certificate.
Right.
Though. The Death Certificate is full of great songs, Mike.
Dante Walker with the super chat says, best hip-hop podcast / show out there. Salute 100. A2HH new merch it's very problematic shirt and hoodies. Got to get the it's very problematic stuff. Coming soon. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, in a lot of ways, the lack of New York radio support for Nas and Wu-Tang makes their brand stronger, specifically amongst the F the radio hip-hop purist base. And that's not what they do it for, I mean, the radio, but it does work for them in their brand.
No, see, that's not cool. See, this is what I'm saying. So people,
I know where you're going to come from on this, but you're right.
Listen, Jay got rich fans because they got easy access to his music.
Yeah.
Radio has something to do with that. So when people look at the numbers that Jay does and even the streams that he does, and Kanye does, and Eminem does, now Eminem might have white fans, but you know what that means by having white fans too, Mike? It means having fans with more income typically. And so
they have access.
It
That's
becomes
how they became fans.
It becomes a resource and an access thing. And so what you do when you cut a Nas and a Wu-Tang out of your local radio market, though, is that you hurt their opportunities to get more faithful followers who have money, and they make their money based on their followings and how people support their merchandise and their music. And so to cut them out of that process is not helping.
Yeah, you're cutting them off at the knees.
You're cutting them off at the knees.
I see what they're trying to say.
No, I get what you're trying to say. The ethos is good, but in reality, it's not good business practices, and nobody with a solvent financial mind thinks that way.
Well, there's nobody in business that wants less customers.
Thank you. Nobody, like, don't.
That's my thing with Talib. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no business that tells a customer, like, don't fucking buy my pizzas.
Right. It's like,
don't come in my restaurant and spend money.
I'll tell you this. It's like this album right here, Mike, Get Rich or Die Trying. It's like Nah, if every nigga in the game, Mike, would kill to make a record like that and to sell like that as a black man and a black artist, Nas and Jay included, because they never sold like that for one album. Don't tell me that you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But look at the resources and the access that that man was given.
Yeah. Everything that Fifth is able to do now is based on what that album did.
But look at the resource and the accesses. Jimmy Iovine is behind it. Dre is behind it. M is behind it. And because they're behind it, radio's behind it. In small markets, medium markets, large markets, posters, billboards, on the radio, the full rollout. And guess what? Was worthy of the rollout based on the quality of music. Now, how many times has Wu-Tang given us a product like that, Mike?
Yeah.
Think about it. Like, for whatever you think Get Rich or Die Trying is, it's like, well, has an album. It's comparable on an Enter the Wu-Tang, Only Built for Cuban Links, Supreme Clientele, and Liquid Swords type of level in terms of the quality of music. So, which means what he did once, Wu-Tang did 4 times. They ever sell records like that?
No.
New York radio got something to do with that.
Well, one thing I will say, and I like the fact that you're using that album as an example, I think that album is a great example of everyone having access, right? Because
matters.
the type of music that 50 makes, it caters to the hip-hop audience and the hip-hop aesthetic that was going to check for him, but he got a lot of extra fans that weren't even on no hip-hop shit based on who he came in the door with.
Like here, I had a conversation with somebody in the industry behind the scenes, you know, and they just told me that like a couple of journalists were better than me. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm like, they're not better. I'm like, they have more access and resources. I was like, if you give me the same access and resources they have, it's, you know, it's a wrap for them. And I meant that because it's like, that's how serious the access and the resources are. I'm like, no. If I was reaching the people that they was reaching, I was like, they would be concerned about their job because I provide certain things that they don't provide as a journalist, mostly with my integrity. You know what I'm saying? And those types of things tend to shine through when you really do the right thing with journalistic integrity. Like, for instance, the media is who changed the NFL forever, not the NFL. The New York Times report on concussions is what started what you see.
Oftentimes it is journalists who change things.
But it's journalists who actually move with integrity for the greater purpose of changing things that actually really change things. But listen to this. If that writer is writing for like a gossip paper in New York and not the New York Times, you get what I'm saying? The access and the resources aren't the same for it to have the wave.
Yeah.
And so the accesses and the resources, well, it matters in what you and I are doing. It matters with what Nas and Wu-Tang are doing. But the access and the resources have a lot to do with it. It's not the talent. That's why when people's like, well, look at what M sold, it's like, oh, no, that's access and resources.
Yeah.
That's not about the talent. And that's not to say Fam's not talented, because you don't get to a certain place without being talented. But the access and resources that somebody like Jay has had and M has had is different than a Nas and Wu-Tang, and you can see it in today's streaming numbers because it's something that was implemented even before the streaming numbers existed.
Radio played a big part of that.
That's what I mean. Because
what Game say on Red Nation? Niggas will sell their soul to be Drake or J. Cole. Like, you know.
It's real though,
niggas
because their stuff naturally just moves inherently, but that's because the access and the resource behind it. People
Drake,
be like,
man, he's a big one too.
I mean, but look at the access and the resources. It's like, well, I mean, not being funny, it's like he did come into this game on the back of the dude that was on top of the game when he came in.
And that's important.
It's super important.
It's important.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from Drake, but is Drake...
He'll tell you that
if Wayne
had a lot to do with his success.
What I'm saying. If Wayne isn't as viable as he is, how viable is Drake coming into the game? Part of the notoriety of Drake is that, well, Wayne was at the top of the game, so he's able to bring this guy in at the top and give him a view, and the talent is there to match.
Of course.
And so, yeah. But once again, we heard Drake on the radio so many times before he even dropped the album. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now you have artists who have made classic material that can't get played. That's an access and resource thing. So people are like, oh, well, they didn't sell like these guys. That's access and resources. Because when the money is there and the access and resources in there and the product is there, this is what you get.
Yep. Facts. LP with the super chat says, never knew murder till I seen my man get popped. No blood soaking, layers there, eyes still open. I got a little close, put my hand on his palm. We looking right through me, yo, staring beyond my way. Jay Short with the super chat says, we don't need to review that old Biggie article. The East Coast propaganda for biased New Yorkers is reminiscent. to New Yorkers. I'm sorry, to New Yorkers to reminisce over. Yeah. Born King with a super chat, fried chicken.
I brought up
Yep.
fried chicken too. Yep.
Brought up fried chicken. And I feel like we got a couple more super chats. He says, Tribal says, I love Biggie, but we was hating hard in that art. He was hating hard in that article. Says a lot about how New Yorkers felt. And it's interesting that Chuck D said what he said, and that's why I wanted to read what he said. He called out the New York bias. Chuck D's a New Yorker, and he called out the New York bias in Yayo and the way he felt about Ice Cube's position in this game in relation to Biggie.
Well, how about this? What Yayo is probably representing is there's a street dude in New York, and he's representative of that guy, and you can't tell those guys nothing about Big or Jay, really.
Yeah.
Or Fifth or Nas. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, no, those guys are it, and there ain't no. And it's like, oh, yeah, there is. There's other guys. You know what I'm saying?
I used to be like that about Cass until I started getting a little bit more objective and start stepping outside of myself and looking at things for what they are.
I was like that about Outkast till you ruined my childhood at the start of this show, Mike. So I'd like to thank you for
I didn't
ruining
ruin
my
your childhood. Andre 3000 ruined our childhood.
Whatever.
I used to really argue for 3000 against people like Kane and stuff like that. Like
me too. I told you, like he was literally in my top 5. People understand this. He was in my top 5 till we had a conversation on this show where you were like, how? You were literally asking me how. And I'm like, Mike, what do you mean how? I'm like, have you not heard what I heard?
He can't make death certificate.
And you're like, man, where the solo songs at, Coop? Where the 3 verses with a hook? And then you're like, where the albums? And I started thinking, and I'm like, oh, shit. And you're right. I mean, Mike, let's be honest. And this is why Ice Cube is special. It's like, no. Ain't too many niggas can make a death certificate. He easy top 10. Because I don't know 10 guys.
Westside Connection.
I don't know 10 guys. Listen, there aren't 10 guys that ever rap that can make something like death certificate.
Like you said, Ray and Ghost, I love those guys. And you know Ghost is one of my personal favorites.
Ray is one of my personal favorites.
I don't think Ghost can make death certificate.
Neither can Ray.
He can make Supreme Clientele.
Can make Only Built for Cuban Links.
But yeah.
But those aren't death like Cuban Links is better than death certificate to me. Ooh, Mike, what do you think? Clientele?
I think Cuban Links and Supreme Clientele. I think death certificate may be better than Supreme.
I was just thinking that.
And I think Only Built for Cuban Links is the best of the 3, objectively speaking.
I mean, for me, I think the Purple Tape is the second best rap album I've heard. For me personally.
Ever?
Like on my personal list, it's 2. And so I think highly of it. But I wanted to have that conversation. Maybe we can kind of go out on this note unless we got some more biz to cover. But when I was listening to Death Certificate, I know when we talked about it, I feel like we had it like somewhere where we were putting it somewhere between 15 and 20. And I really think
lower than that.
It's probably 10 to 15, Mike, because when I think about it, I thought of 2 albums, and I want you to tell me if I'm crazy or not. I really had the sincere thought today that it might be better than the Infamous and Supreme Clientele. Which means
I think it's better than the Infamous. It hurts me to say that it's better than Supreme Clientele, but
I think the Infamous is better than Supreme. So if you're telling me that it's better than the Infamous, then it is better than Supreme.
The way I would rank those 3,
because how can you have Supreme ahead of the Infamous? Because I'm sorry,
I think Supreme's better than the Infamous.
Mike, I'm sorry, just in Mike, in the reality that we live in, there's no survival of the fittest, give up the goods, or shook ones on Supreme Clientele. All due respect, and all due respect to the posse cuts. All due respect to the posse cuts on Supreme, there's no eye for an eye on Supreme either.
That's fair.
Because Nas and Ray stunned it on the second half of Eye for an Eye. It's
Buck 50.
It's one of their better moments. Like both of them. It's one of Ray and Nas's better moments. And they're like right after each other. And how many people pick up the mic from Nas in 95 and can go the way Ray went? Like that's pretty.
I think the highlights on the Infamous definitely.
The highlights,
but I think from end to end, give me Supreme, man.
I don't think so.
But it's not that. I mean,
not like a major gap,
yeah.
But there's a gap, Mike. Because I think the Infamous for me is like probably 10, 11, 12-ish, and then Supreme would come after that. But I think, how about this? The only albums that I know are better than Death Certificate, Mike, are Illmatic. In my opinion, Illmatic, The Purple Tape, It Takes a Nation, Paid in Full, Doggy Style, The Chronic.
Aquemini? Or are we counting just solo stuff?
I'm trying to keep it to the solo stuff, but we can
What
say
do you think
Aquemini.
about Reasonable Doubt?
Aquemini, Mike, that's what I'm saying. I listened to it today, and I was like, ooh. Like a lot of those albums that I have, like how about this? Do you think it's better than the Low End Theory? Because the Low End Theory is in the back of my top 10. But when I listened to it today, I thought like, damn, this shit might be better than the Low End Theory.
I tell you what, that's the argument for album of the year for 1991. I'm gonna give it to the Low End Theory.
I don't think so, Mike.
I'm mad at that. It's two of my favorites, man.
Maybe it's just
the approach that Cube took into in the album with No Vaseline. They ended their album with Scenario, but
No Vaseline is better than Scenario. I'm sorry.
It is.
I'm sorry.
It is.
And if you really want to know the truth, the records that are on Death Certificate are more important, and they're actually kind of like sonically, the Low End Theory is better. But the MCing.
Oh, the MCing is not even a question.
The content.
This is production versus MCing. And song structure, too. I think Low End Theory gets the song structure thing, too.
I think Death Certificate and the Infamous might be good. I think Death Certificate's better than Supreme, Mike. But by saying that, I'm probably saying it's better than Liquid Swords, too. So that's high up on for me, too.
Yeah.
Because when I thought about it, it's like, man, Liquid Swords might not be better than this either. You know how I feel about Liquid Swords.
Death Certificate's one of the best hip-hop albums ever.
It really is.
And people treat Cube like he doesn't have one of those.
And he does.
And I hate to say this, and, we spoke about this on our show Monday, but they kind of treat Cube like he's an LL-type figure, but he's not when it comes to album making. He's not. Because they treat him like, and maybe that's the
how about this?
The acting and rapping split thing.
How about
but they treat them like they're similar in that light, and they're not.
Like the Predator is like LL's peak as an album maker.
Yeah.
That's Ice
Cube.
The
Predator's like Mr. Smith-ish.
Right.
Yeah.
That's Ice Cube falling down a notch as an album maker.
Yeah.
And that album's still dope as fuck.
Yeah.
They got his biggest hit. Isn't that the one with Good Day on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his biggest records are on the album where it's like a notch.
Well, he came down a notch, yeah.
So it's like when he became a better hit maker and song maker, it's like the album suffered.
Check yourselves on this. Jay Short with the super chat.
I don't know if Mr. Smith ain't that good.
I don't know if Mr. Smith is better than the Predator. I think that's a good conversation, though.
I think that's a great conversation.
Jay Short with the super chat says, they do the same thing to Snoop out here on radio. Outside of Drop It Like It's Hot or What's My Name, they won't play him. That's crazy. They'll play M all day, though. They do that out there in Cali? Jesus. But that must be one of them old school stations. That's not really, a reflection of the time.
What done happened to the neighborhood?
Born King with the super chat says, the summer of 95 belongs solely to Ray. I didn't expect him to say that, but I like that. Before we get out of here, Drake got on stage and said he got an album coming. It's like he called out rappers that make you wait 3, 4, 5 years for an album. I don't know if Drake's been watching the show or whatnot, or maybe he's just been paying attention to what people say, but 3, 4, 5 years to drop an album, he's like, man, I'm back at it, man. I'm not going to make y'all wait. People want music from artists. Artists make music. Let's get it.
Consequence had some unsavory things to say about Talib this past week, too.
He did.
It's very disrespectful. Now, it's kind of funny that when rappers kind of bring up these things that we've been bringing up and taking issue with some of the things that we see, like, I don't know, people been calling me a hater because I've been telling somebody that they need to, go to work because this is their job, and everybody keeps telling me that you're the best person at this job, but your ass don't never clock in and go to work.
5 years.
It's kind of funny when other people say it, how all of a sudden it's way more valid. See, when somebody in the media says, oh, you're a hater, it's cap. What's your issue with him? But when your peers start calling you outside in these here streets, how it look now when your peers call you out in these streets. See, it's actually better. See, and this is what I mean about how I do things. It's like you heard how Consequence was talking about him, right? Don't it make it seem how I was talking to him rather timid and tame? Now you see how I've been talking about this dude not going to work. You see how shady this dude sounds when he talks about this dude now. Ain't it better to hear it from us than your own?
Hey, man, it is what it is, man. Kendrick.
Right, because your own can be reckless with you because they got to go through the things that you go to. And Drake looking at it like, it's like, oh, niggas telling me my shit ain't hitting like that? No, this nigga shit ain't hitting like that. I show up every year.
Every year. Mr. Morale was last year, right? May 13th, my birthday, I think.
I'm sorry you had to go through that, Mike. That is like forever with you. You do not deserve that.
But Kendrick owes us an album. he owes us 2, actually.
He owes you an apology for dropping on your birthday.
Listen, Kendrick owes the people 2 albums. It was on my birthday.
Was it your 40th birthday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, that is so depressing, Mike.
Yeah.
You might need to go to therapy about him dropping the therapeutic album on your 40th birthday. Be like, yeah, he sent me to therapy. I had to spend my 40th birthday listening to his ass.
Man, we had a good show, though, man, when we did that show that night when it came out.
You had a good show, Mike. I was thinking to myself, you must have been lit, because I'm thinking to myself, how do I tell these people that this shit is awful?
I think the songwriting was impressive.
I knew that it was awful when we had to go into a discourse about the songwriting. It's like, what the fuck? I was like, we talking about Stevie Wonder in 1974? We talking about a rap album.
You know what's awful? Hillbillies. The Hillbillies is awful. And if Drake hears, I'm sure Drake's heard the Hillbillies. He's heard all this stuff. He's heard the Beyonce verse that Kendrick's done. Listen, Drake, this is the time to attack. Take that spot.
They all have heard each other's stuff, Mike. This is how the business works. See, even though we're media, we're still on the outside looking in. Like, I know somebody that's already heard Travis's album.
I mean, they're carrying around a briefcase and whatnot. So I guess it exists.
Now, what the fuck you carrying around a briefcase for when everybody done heard your shit?
It's a dud.
Anyway? Right. Anyway, do your marketing and promotion thing, whatever. At least that's what niggas is doing, and that's the way of marketing and promoting. Yeah, he's walking around with a briefcase. Everybody done heard this shit already. Just like, Mike, I told you I was getting word about Kendrick's album. Even before, it's like, yeah, like a couple of artists was even like, you know, where's the project at? Like, this is the project. It's like, that's not the project. What is that?
Well, since we talking that stuff, I know somebody who says that they heard the LL Q-Tip album too. Now, I don't know how true that is.
How it sound?
They said they want us to hear it. But I didn't hear any like real.
You want to know what? Somebody dropped a song that LL and Ray and Murder Mook did together that Ron Browns did from like 2013.
I remember that song.
I don't.
They were saying that LL got him, right?
It's not true, but I mean, if you feel that way.
Well, that's what they said. They said that he had a better verse than Mook and Ray. I need to go back and listen to the song.
It's a great verse from L, but this is what I'm saying. Ray's just kind of doing Ray things.
Yeah.
LL is making it a point to try to. It's different.
Yeah.
Because he's making it a point to prove, I can spit with Ray and Mook.
I mean, that's kind of what I shot your remix.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I need him to stop doing that, though. I love L how L is. Like, I don't know where that's just the Queens in him that's competitive, probably, too.
Is he the one that made the posse cuts competitive in that way for your own project? Because before, it felt like the posse cuts were more so on compilation type of.
It was more for the producer, not for the artist.
Right, exactly.
Right. No, I agree with that. But L's competitive, and I get it. But this is what I'm saying is that, like, L does so many other things well that it's like, so what if you're not some sort of super lyricist?
Yeah.
I don't need you to be super
Nobody can do what you do outside of that.
No, not
not many people.
Not for the stretch of time. Like for whatever you think about Nelly, Ja Rule, like the other guys that are fashioned in the vein of him, they ain't did it as well or as long. And their records aren't as classic.
That's real. Jonathan Coleman with the Super Chat says, don't let Ice Cube's family movies fool you. He's a real MC.
I told you that time that, you know, me and my daughter had to have a conversation. I had to play Straight Outta Compton because, you know, I was like, you know who Ice Cube is? She's like, yeah, that's the dad from Are We There Yet? And I was like, and you're listening to this gangster shit right now. It's like, right now is where we play this gangster shit for my kid. I ain't tell my mama, I ain't tell her mama, I ain't tell nobody. I was like, listen to this, sweetie. I said, this is Ice Cube.
Like, no, that can't be him.
I said, because this is when she's 10. When I was 10, I thought Ice Cube was the most dangerous nigga on the planet.
He was.
She's talking about this the nigga from Are We There Yet? I was like, no, insert Straight Outta Compton. Go and slide that on in. Daughter was like, my daughter was looking at me. She's like,
that can't be him.
I was like, I said, and that's the Ice Cube I grew up on, and don't you ever forget it.
Well, that's like when Jay-Z tells that story about
almost forced her to watch Boys in the Hood the same night, but I thought that might have been too much. She didn't need to see Doughboy.
Boys in the Hood celebrating 32 years today, actually. But that's kind of reminds me of that story that Jay-Z tells about him and Chris Martin from Coldplay. And he plays him like Reasonable Doubt. He's like, that's you?
Shit, wild.
That's what I used to be, right? Leroy Green with the Super Chat says, Coop, you know Consequence talks crazy about everybody.
You know Talib talks crazy about everybody.
Okay, since we'll go out on this note. I read what Talib had to say in response to Consequence. I don't want to paraphrase it. I'm gonna pull it up, and this is what I had a problem with. No, hold on 1 second, guys. I'm about to pull this up right now. I'll read the whole thing, and you tell me what you have a problem with here. Hey, man, you know.
No, I'd be afraid of what he's gonna say now.
Okay, here it is. Well, I'm not going to say any stuff that's going to get us banned, but, you know, Talib, for whatever reason, doesn't get banned for saying certain stuff.
Very problematic.
Anyway, he says, breaking. Questlove puts a stop to consequences lying on the Biggie Roots thing. Okay. He has changed it up, actually. Yeah. Again, I guess I should have taken a screenshot of it. That's not the original comment that I saw earlier.
See, that's what Lupe tried to do to me with those deleted tweets, Mike, but I knew he was going to do it, so I took pictures for evidence.
But I do remember.
You have to have evidence with these rappers,
I
Mike.
remember what Talib said before he just changed, you know what I'm saying, the actual caption. He said something along the lines of, all the people that you mentioned will side with me against you, including a Tribe Called Quest. And I'm like, okay. Q-Tip's this man's cousin. Why don't you just say Q-Tip? Who you talking about? Ali? You talking about, you know what I mean?
Fife's not here.
Fife's not here. So when you say
Jerobi?
Yeah, is it Jerobi? Is it Ali? Like, come on, man. But yeah, he changed that. And I'm glad he did, because you know what? I was thinking in my head, I was like, if I'm Q-Tip, I'm going in the comment section like, nigga, delete this. What are you talking about? You talking wild, but you need people to come out here and side with you against consequence? Why don't y'all deal with whatever y'all got going on with each other? Deal with that. Don't bring anybody else into this.
I ain't gonna say nothing. Okay.
And to that whole Roots thing, I think there's some validity to what Consequence was saying.
The Roots started that.
Exactly. And the thing is, man,
it's Questlove and Black Thought's fault. That ain't Biggie's fault. What they do? Remember what they do video? What's that? Who they mocking?
Exactly. And I know when I was younger, on the Flavor in Your Ear remix, I did think he said the Roots. And what people got to understand is, before the internet and shit, before Rap Genius and Google and phones, people just heard what they heard. We misinterpreted lyrics all the time. No one knew that he was saying the gooch, like, you know what I'm saying, from different strokes. We know that now. Mm-hmm. But you hearing that record over and over, and your name is the Roots, and then he follows it up with, disappear, vamoose, you're whack to me. Take your rhymes back to the factory. That's not different strokes anymore. So if they took it as the Roots, that's very possible in that era.
True.
Because I thought he said the Roots, to be perfectly honest with you.
So did I.
So, yeah. To sit there and dismiss that based on, you know, what we know now.
But in fairness, I didn't know who the Roots were when he said that. So when he was saying that, I thought he was talking about, I didn't know who he was talking about anyway.
Obviously, they think that he knew who they were.
That don't mean you fucking do a whole video like literally mocking the man, but whatever.
Yeah.
But we all have moments. Even the Roots, that's what I mean. Think about it. The Roots are a conscious, righteous, woke group.
De La did it too. You know, rest in peace to Plug too.
I'm sorry, Stakes is High is about Jay and Nas and Big.
Ego trip.
Flossing.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think what people don't understand, back then, there was an unsaid Cold War with the mainstream rapper and the quote-unquote conscious community.
Well, here's the reality of the matter.
Kanye West is the one that actually bridged that gap.
How about this? All rap coming from the East Coast, with the exception of a couple of guys, was really underground until guys like Big started doing 1.5, Meth started going platinum, Wu-Tang started going platinum. It was all underground until then. So the guys who were underground that bubbled above the surface, it created a divide. And you see the divide in 1996.
Can we keep it real about the What They Do video? I love the song, love the video. I thought it was genius.
It's a great record.
They were hating.
Straight up Player Hater. Player Hater is about the Roots doing the What They Do video.
Yeah. Just like niggas who was hating on Hammer and the endorsements he got 10 years later, everybody else started getting endorsements.
Those are haters.
Yeah. The success that, you know, Big and Bad Boy and all of them were having.
You ever see Rakim hate on Hammer? Rakim is the best MC in the game when Hammer was blowing up. You ever see Rakim say anything bad about Hammer?
No. I mean, and again, I think that, you know, everybody want to say hip-hop is this and hip-hop is for the streets, this and that. But when people got that opportunity, including the Roots, they crossed over.
Mike, they did it expeditiously.
They did.
Crossed over expeditiously.
As soon as the Roots got that opportunity, like, hey, you want to do Jimmy Fallon? Sure.
I hate to be the one to break it to the Roots.
Yeah.
The reality of
and I love the Roots. Let me say that.
So do I. But I'm just saying this, Mike. As soon as they got their notoriety, the quality of the music started to slowly go down the other side of the hill.
Yeah.
Because Philadelphia Half-Life and Do You Want More? Peak. And then you get Phrenology, it's like, step down. And then you get the tipping point, and it's like, one more step down. Then you get game theory, and it's kind of like, It's like, okay, you niggas wasn't like that when didn't nobody know your name and you didn't have no damn Grammy. Facts. When you wasn't doing Jimmy Fallon, wasn't having subpar albums when you didn't have Jimmy Fallon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just.
Shit, we got to give people like Biggie credit. I mean, even with the success, he was able to make better music.
Used to call me Fatso. Now you call me Castro.
It's very difficult to continue that hunger when you're not hungry anymore.
That's what makes the Nas run so special. It's like, this guy ain't even making no money off a rap like that and don't need to rap, right? He's making albums like this and he don't have to rap. You understand he's rapping like he has to rap and he doesn't have to rap. Like the bars he's spitting and the quality he's putting out is reflective of somebody who, quite frankly, just came off the corner and is like hungry for a deal.
It's fresh.
He literally says, what's on Speechless where he's like, I must be insane giving you bars and running companies.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, no, but for real, A2HH, I got to introduce you to a whole community of MCs in your own city because they need some light, my G's. More later. Yeah, come through Atlanta, Leroy. Tribal with the super chat says, De La, The Roots, and Tribe were hating hard in 95, 96. It's true. Facts. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. And I love those guys.
Beats, Rhymes, and Life?
Yeah.
Yeah, they talking shit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
When he talks about sometimes we rhyme, I mean, damn, we ain't prophets, and if you think so, you need to stop it. I took that as a Nas shot. Right.
A rap is not pop. If you call it that, then stop. Hammer approached him on that. Hey.
People don't know Hammer's in these streets. Hammer from the Yay.
For real.
For real.
All right. Well,
Hammer wasn't just 30 deep with dancers out here.
I mean, those dancers are straight from the streets.
That's what I'm saying. They wasn't just dancers, Mike. It's taking a lot of dudes off the streets of Oakland. Have you ever talked to an Oakland nigga?
Oh yeah, man. I love Hammer, man. I think the shit that people and we can't have a hip.
Them
let me do this.
Different.
We can't do a hip hop 50 without talking about Hammer extensively either. I would love to explore.
The Bay period.
Yeah, I would love to explore how trailblazing Hammer was when it comes to like brand deals in hip hop. He took that shit to the next level.
Like a Pepsi commercial for the Super Bowl. You remember that?
Yeah. Taco Bell commercials and shit.
I don't care what anybody say. Too legit to quit is the shit.
Yeah. Nigga, I learned the whole choreography back in the day. Born King with the super chat says, nah. Said, nah, not at all, man. We clearly knew it was the Gooch, but we was older than y'all. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't catch the Different Strokes reference.
They put me in the mix.
Then. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to get up out of here.
Prince
Great
sued his ass for taking prey, though.
Did he?
Yeah, you ain't know Prince sued Hammer?
I thought he got that cleared. I thought that was odd that he used Prince stuff.
When the hell you see Prince clear somebody's shit?
I know. That's why I thought that possibly Prince did it because it was about God or something. I didn't know that. Well, it makes sense.
Man, he about to make Hammer get in Lake Minnetonka.
Right. All right, one more super chat before we get out of here. LP says, they wasn't hating. They weren't gangster. They wasn't making money like that. Their jewelry was fake. Their rhymes were lies. You sound like you hating, LP.
Oh, my God. Yo, this has been a fascinating show.
Tribal with the super chat says, that Biggie rating article would be cool for the next stream. We'll mess around with that. We'll see what it is, man. All right. We're going to get up out of here. Y'all like and subscribe to the page. Appreciate y'all tuning in with us. Tell a friend to rock with According to Hip Hop on YouTube. You want to lead the people with anything?
Yeah, Mike, FDL. Actually, let me pull it up because they're doing a back to school. And I told them we wanted to help support like we ought to do. Yeah. FDL, and this is just for the neighborhood in Atlanta off Metropolitan. They're doing a back to school supply drive to help students in need. So anybody that wants to donate any school supplies for some of the underprivileged, youth, blacks and Hispanics in Atlanta, the donations are being accepted until August 3rd. Some of the supplies needed are going to be crayons, markers, paper, pencils, notebooks, binders, folders, clear backpacks, because we're living in an area of town where there are metal detectors in the school, so they have to have clear backpacks, glue, scissors, rulers, calculators. Anybody that wants to help can reach out to me, coop@accordingtohiphop.com. If you're in the city, you can literally go down to the compound and just talk to them about wanting to donate and support. It's at 1959 Metropolitan Avenue, where we just did our kickback with my man LT. But good community initiative. I'm definitely going to be personally supporting myself. And of course, they're still doing the Wednesday class free at 7 for everybody. So come get in shape and be healthy and live a long time for free. And I'm Ghost.
All right. Well, we're going to holler at y'all. Appreciate you. A2A.